everybody, to the June 2nd, 2026 Clay County Planning Commission meeting. The meeting is now called to order. At this time, make sure I can, okay. At this time, put your cell phones on silence or turn them off or do whatever else. If you need to take a call, please step out into the hallway so we can continue with the meeting. And gentlemen, as a matter of our board rules, would you please remove your covers? And with that, if you would rise and please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Pete Davis, and I'm the chairman of the Clay County Planning Commission. Minutes tonight will be taken by Christine Blanchette, who is recording secretary from the clerk of the court's office. Thank you, Ms. Blanchette. Other staff members present, we have Courtney Graham, who's our legal department, Jamie Hovda, who's assistant attorney, and Kaylee Breisinger from real estate, and I don't see any others. Also, our staff, we have Beth Carson, who's our planning director, and Dodie Seelig, who is our chief planner. We thank Deputy Stelly, and I believe Deputy Lane, is he still here? Oh, he's there, yeah. From the Clay County Sheriff Department for providing security this evening. The following commissioners are as to the right, Vice Chairman Commissioner Bo Norton, Commissioner Ralph Puckhaber, and Commissioner Mary Bridgman. And to my left, Commissioner Joe Anzalon and Commissioner Bill Garrison. The Clay County Planning Commission is a citizen advisory board to the Clay County Board of County Commissioners, or commonly referred to as the BCC. All planning commissioners are volunteers, residents of Clay County appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We serve 2-year terms and must reapply if we wish to continue serve. The commission's duties are outlined in sections 163.3174 of the Florida statutes. We hear applications for comprehensive plan amendments, land development code changes, and rezonings. Most of the decisions made by the Planning Commission are recommendations to the BCC. The BCC will have the final say at their meeting on either the second Tuesday, 1 week from today, or the fourth Tuesday, 3 weeks from today. The BCC meeting starts at 4 p.m. Zoning and land issue matters start at 5 p.m. Please check the BCC agenda on the Clay County website. We always welcome the public to the Planning Commission meetings, as citizens participate is the backbone of our republic form of government. Your presence here is important and appreciated. If there is an item on tonight's agenda you wish to speak about or you wish to talk about during the open comment period, please fill out a comment card. Which can be found in the entry vestibule, and give it to Ms. Blanchette. There is a 3-minute time limit for each comment time. Time is kept by the light on the podium. Red light indicates the time is up. First item for the action for the commission tonight is approval of minutes of the May 5th meeting of the Planning Commission. Do I have a motion?
I move they be approved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and second it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next item on the public agenda period at this time, any member of the public may comment on any item not included on the agenda but pertinent to the business of the Planning Commission. It's called the public comment period. I will open that period. We have 2 of those, by the way, one at the beginning and one at the end. So I'll open the first public comment period, and I have 1 card from Eddie Knight. Eddie, you want to speak? You want to speak at the comment period?
Good evening. My name is Eddie Knight. As he said, I live on 1394 Mahama Bluff Road. I've lived in Clay County all my life, all 83 years. And I'm here to speak about a possible commercial development off Mahama Bluff Road off Highway 17. And I know it's not on the agenda. It was going to be on the agenda, but I'm just speaking as a public comment and public concern, so I'll be brief. But we ask that in your planning that you keep that in mind that Mahama Bluff Road is a very old established residential neighborhood. And there is, he's the business, and they're very cooperative with us. They've got access to the present business on the Highway 17 side, and he's going to add on to that plans. And we would ask that they keep the access, the ingress and egress on Highway 17, if at all possible. And like I said, they've been very cooperative, and we just ask that you keep that in mind. And this is again, a very long-established neighborhood in Clay County, and we just ask that you consider that when the plans are to be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Is there anybody who wish to speak during this period? Seeing nobody coming forward, I don't have any additional cards. Okay, I'm sorry.
We gotta swear them in too.
Not on the open.
Not an open.
Not on the open.
Good evening. My name is Tom Connell. I'm a Navy veteran, 45 years, Clay County resident. I'm here today to speak against the proposed rezoning of the small wooded area located in Tanglewood neighborhood. My first glance, it may seem like just a few acres for some, just trees, but small wooded areas are not empty spaces waiting to be filled. They are living infrastructure. They absorb stormwater, reduce flood, and cool our neighborhoods, provide wildlife habitat, create natural buffer from noise and traffic. Once they are gone permanently. No amount of landscaping replaces mature woodland that takes decades to grow. In communities across Florida, we are already seeing the consequences of overdevelopment. Heavier traffic, increased flood, overcrowded roads, disappearing green space, and rising strain on public services. Every rezoning request is often presented as small change, but collectively these small changes slowly erase the character and environmental balance of our communities. It is death by 1,000 bulldozers. The particular wooded area may not look dramatic on the map, but nearby residents, it matters deeply. It provides beauty, shade, privacy, and a sense of peace that cannot be measured only in tax revenue or density calculations. Families chose to live near this area because of natural surroundings. Rezoning, it changes not only land, but the quality of life of the people who already live here. There's also environmental responsibility. We should not ignore mature trees, which help improve air quality and support birds, pollinators, and other wildlife, increasingly pushed out by rapid development. In Florida especially, preserving remaining green space is not a luxury. It's part of protecting our future, resilience against heat and severe weather. This wooded area is not empty land waiting for a better purpose. It's already functioning habitat supporting wildlife that depends on it for shelter, movement, nesting, and survival. Among the species affected are the gopher tortoises, a protected species in Florida whose burrows provide refuge for hundreds of other animals. Destroying or disturbing their habitats does not simply relocate wildlife, it disrupts the entire interconnected ecosystem that has developed over many years. The area also supports numerous aquatic turtles and other native species that rely on undisturbed natural spaces for reproducing and nesting. Development pressure increases traffic, land clearing, grading, light, and stormwater disruption can severely impact breeding cycles and other hatchling survival. Once these habitats are fragmented or removed, wildlife populations often decline permanently. Preserving remaining areas is not just about scenery, it's about protecting living systems that cannot advocate for themselves in the room today. Growth is inevitable, planning is not. The development should not happen in areas already suited for higher density redevelopment or existing infrastructure. Rezoning one of the few remaining wooded parcels sends a message: no green space is truly protected if enough pressure is applied. I respectfully ask the Commission to reconsider the long-term impact, not just short-term proposal before you tonight. Once this land is cleared, future generations will never know what it stood there before. They will only inherit one more crowded intersection, one more drainage problem, one less piece of nature.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
vote no on this.
Can you hang on a second?
Where are you talking about? What parcel?
This is on College Drive, right? It's almost right across from the college. They're trying to rezone that for, I'm not even sure what they want to put in there, but they're gonna take out the environmental areas that are,
All right, thank you. I wanted to know because this comment period was for items not on the agenda tonight.
Oh,
And
I'm
that
sorry.
item is on the agenda. So
Oh, I'm
we'll
sorry.
take that under consideration.
I apologize.
Thank you.
You want me to read it again later?
No, that's fine. Okay, is anybody else wish to speak during the open period? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, the process for the scheduled part of the meeting, which is coming up, will be each item on the public hearing agenda will be presented by a member of the Planning and Zoning Department. As part of the presentation, staff will include whether they recommend approval of the requested land use, zoning, or land development code change. Next, the applicant will have the opportunity to speak. Following the applicant's presentation, I will open the floor for the meeting of the public to offer their views. Your time is for stating your views, not for asking questions of the applicant, members of the staff, or the commissioners. Your comments are to be directed to the Planning Commission. If you wish to speak during this hearing, you will need to take the oath, which Ms. Blanchette will administer momentarily. If you aren't sure whether you wish to speak, go ahead and take the oath. After staff and the applicant and the public have all had their chance to state their views, the floor will be closed for public comments, and the applicant will have the opportunity to respond to comments by the public. Then the commissioners will discuss the matter, if necessary, and render a decision. Again, I thank you and commend you for participating in this process. And before we get started, Ms. Blanchette will issue the oath. If anybody is going to speak tonight, would you please rise and kind of move to the center? If you're not sure whether you want to speak, take the oath anyway.
Y'all all raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you all.
Okay. And we'll move into the first agenda item. Okay. Ms. Seeley?
Good evening. So this item is a two-part application. We have Comp 26-0005, which is a small-scale comp plan amendment to change future land use, and a rezoning application, Zone 26-0007. Both of these applications will be heard by the Board of County Commissioners on June 23rd. The applicant is Courtney Gaver with Rogers Towers. Property is on the west side of College Drive, opposite Bellhaven Drive. This is in the Oakleaf-Brandon Ridge Planning District, which is Commission District 1 under Commissioner Scrimola. And there is one parcel involved. The comprehensive plan change would change the designation of the property from Urban Core 10, commonly called UC 10, to commercial. And the zoning application would change the zoning on the property from agricultural residential, which is AR, to heavy business district, which is BB4. So the signs were posted on the property, and mailing abutter letters were sent to all the properties within 350 feet of the subject parcel. What the staff report maps don't really convey is that the applicant, the actual property owner, owns 3 parcels, and the subject parcel is the red hatched in front of you there on the map. But the applicant owns the 2 parcels immediately to the north of that, and has a business on the far north site, and I'll show you in the next slide. On the aerial, you can see a building there, and then the parking for that is actually on the middle parcel, so at the very top north end of the middle parcel. The balance of that is vacant, and then the subject parcel is all vacant at the moment. So you can see there on the aerial, the very top, you can see the existing business, and then the parking, and then the green space, and then the yellow is the subject site. So on the left, we have the existing future land use designations. Red is commercial, so you can see all the areas where that is. And then the brown is the urban core 10, which is a high-density residential land use. On the right is the proposed future land use, so going from UC 10 to commercial. And then on the zoning map, it's much the same. The two northern parcels that the property owner has are BB4 now. And then the subject parcel, which is AR, he's requesting the BB4 zoning, which is to match the other parcels that he already has. So this item was actually heard May 4th by the Oakleaf Brandon Ridge CAC. However, there was no quorum, and therefore the meeting didn't take place. The comprehensive plan amendment criteria and the rezoning application criteria have been met, and staff recommends approval of both items. The applicant has a presentation for you, which I can bring up next, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions, staff?
I have one, but I'll ask the applicant.
Okay.
Point of clarification, Ms. Seeley.
Yes,
The two parcels to the north, they're already BB4, is that correct?
yes, they
Under
are.
commercial?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. All right, and the applicant.
Good evening, Courtney Gaver, Rogers Towers, 100 Whetstone Place, St. Augustine. I'm here on behalf of the property owner, which is Lenmore One LLC. I'll keep this really quick. So Lenmore One is a single-purpose entity that is owned by Eric and Teresa Linton, who are here tonight. If you'll wave your hands, thank you. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Perfect. And so the Lintons, if you don't have the pleasure of knowing them, they own T&M Electric of Clay County, which is a long-standing business here in Clay County. I believe it was started in the 1980s. They have been at 200 College Drive since 2006 and previously operated, I think, just north of this area. And so, as Ms. Selig said, currently there are two northern parcels, as you can see on the right hand of your screen, where the building is at, as well as the parking lot and some storage. This is just kind of an aerial view on College, so you can see what currently exists. And so again, we're requesting the same land use and zoning designations that currently are with the existing business. And this would allow for T&M Electric to be able to do future expansion, as well as if they needed storage in the future. And I will address, and I'm sorry, sir, I didn't catch your name, but just a few things. So this isn't an application where we're taking conservation and asking to build on it. This property already has entitlements. They're just residential. So certainly it could be developed today, just not for the commercial that we're asking for. And obviously, if there were any gopher tortoises on the site, which is probable, I mean, I have them in my yard at my house, obviously we would have to get the appropriate permits to relocate those. So we're here, Mr. Linton is here, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant?
I have one. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Courtney Gaver.
Courtney, do they also own the parcel that's on the corner of Jefferson and College?
Yes.
So they actually own three parcels in a row?
Yes, sir. There are three parcels.
I thought they did. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you know what the buffering requirements are between the BB4 and the residential areas?
So I do know there's increased setbacks that we would have to meet between the residential on the west side as well as the south side. It's also interesting, and I don't know how to bring back up the map, but to the west of this property, there's already a 5-foot buffer from the PUD next door, as well as a 60-foot right-of-way, Pawnee Street, I believe it is. There are additional visual barriers that we have to comply with, but I would have to rely on staff to tell you exactly what those barriers are against any existing residential.
It would be a 20-foot landscape buffer that would be required.
All right, thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? All right, thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. I have one card, Selena Selby. Did I say it right?
Hello, my name is Selena. I have lived across the street from the land that they're planning on rezoning or they're trying to rezone. And before that, my mom and grandparents have also lived there for decades. And I also am concerned about them developing on that land. I'd like to speak for everyone in the county and maybe even of all of Florida when I say I'm tired. I'm tired of the constant for sale signs on every single piece of land in our area. I'm just tired of it. And then their beautiful land destroyed every land I pass. I'm tired of seeing the beautiful Florida I grew up with destroyed. And it feels like this is part of it, directly across the street from me. And that land is full of hawks, owls, turtles, bunnies, butterflies and bees, and occasionally bald eagles. And I, for one, just believe that we shouldn't even develop on it. Just leave it alone. Apologize. So please vote no. Just leave it alone. It has beautiful animals, beautiful creatures in it that deserve to not be tortured for some more land.
Thank you, Ms. Selby. Are there any others that wish to speak on the first agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the applicant. Do you have anything else you want to share?
Mr. Chair, I do have one more question
Okay.
for the applicant, please. I think the staff might have slightly misstated this, because I'm very familiar with this here. I live probably less than a mile from this. So the parcel, what was referred to as the northern parcel, that's actually where the electric business is right now. Is that correct? Do they occupy that whole parcel right now?
Correct. Yeah, the northern parcel I think is a little over 2 acres. That's where the building and some of the parking is.
Uh-huh.
There's also an intermediary parcel that you can see in between. That some of the storage and the parking is on at the northern part of the what I'm going to call the middle parcel.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I'm actually going, you guys are going to be surprised, but I'm going to move this, and I want to tell, if I can get a second, I'm going to tell you why.
Second.
Okay. I have lived in this area, and I fully appreciate the comments that we heard about you guys know, I'm usually the one that says, let's not do this, but I've lived over there since '83, and I saw that building go up. I've watched T&M Electric over the years. They certainly, I don't know how they are as electricians, but they must be pretty good because it seems to be a growing business. They have done an excellent job of maintaining their building. It always looks good. It's an orderly, there's no trash outside. And as it went up, there was another building down the road that went up at the same time that looks terrible, but they did a very nice job. And I'm going to make a big assumption that as stewards of this land, they're going to continue to treat it that way. But I'm glad they're here. It's nice to take the opportunity where I'm really familiar with this, that I think they have done a really good job. And I know they acquired that parcel on the corner of Jefferson because I think they moved their offices out of that more warehouse-looking building into those. But it used to be, I think, the Northeast Builders or something were in that building as well. Yeah. So I know, so they put parking in between. That parking is all screened from the road. They don't even have to do that, and there's plants screening all that from the road right now. So I think they're actually doing more than they're required to do, which is nice to see from a local business, and it's Clay County jobs. So I will support this one.
Any other discussion?
I just would like to make a comment because we have other contentious issues coming up tonight related to growth. The second gentleman that got up and spoke used a phrase, he said, growth is inevitable, planning is not. And so it's my mantra. I sound like a broken record. I know about this stuff, and I don't have the number right in front of me, but Clay County is a booming county. It's not just growing, it's booming. The whole state of Florida is. And so growth is inevitable as long as the population continues to boom. And I think, I'll just speak for myself, it breaks my heart in the sense of how much natural environment is, is destroyed, I guess is the word we'll use, to accommodate all of this growth. But what's the alternative? You can't put a gate up and stop people from moving here. They just put a multi-billion-dollar and continue to put an interstate through the county that's going to just do nothing but add to this growth. And so I guess I'm going to support it. I'm familiar with T&M Electric. It's a very well-run company, Clay County based, over 100 employees. I'm not exactly sure, 100, 150 employees. They're all local. It's a very well-run company, and I have no doubt that whatever expansion happens there will continue to look like the other buildings that are there. But I just want you specifically and anybody else that these decisions are not easy, and we don't make the final decision. The Board of County Commissioners has the pleasure of making the final decision. We just have this opportunity to vet it and discuss it and make our recommendation to them. But it's not like we just sit up here and just like, oh, that's fine. Just go and tear down another 3 or 4 acres, another 5 or 10 acres, another 100 acres. It's not that simple. The county has a program in place trying to conserve land. And there are lands that are set aside that cannot be developed. So anyway, I just want you to know, I appreciate the people coming to make the statements and make the comments, and they do not go ignored. But, I do tend to weigh them out, and if it is going to benefit the community, then I'm going to support it. College Drive is heavily developed already. It just makes perfect sense. There's no reason not to do it other than the fact that you don't want the trees taken down. And I say this, and I don't mean any disrespect by it, but always recall that wherever you live right now, somebody was mad when they cleared your lot to build your house. And so, anyway, that's it. I do support this moving forward.
Mr. Chair, I need to clarify my motion. My motion is for the comp plan change.
Understood.
Make sure my
Second that,
Yeah, we-
land use change, the comprehensive land use
We
change.
need 2 votes on this, one for comp and one for zoning. Any other comments? The thing sticks out to me on this is that the 2 parcels to the north are already BB4. And an additional 2 acres, it would be very difficult for the board, I think, to turn this down. But with that being said, I too have issues with wildlife and trees and everything else. I lived in one of the most least populated areas outside of Orange Park, and now we call it Mecca. So with that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion this is on the comp plan change?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay, I need a,
Mr. Chair, I will also move the staff report on the zoning change for this. And I'd like to make a comment after I get a second.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the zoning.
Keep in mind, too, that there is this College Drive initiative out there. I don't know if these were vetted by them or not, but they really need to be involved in any changes on College Drive. They've got a plan for that corridor to try to stop it from becoming another mini Blanding Boulevard. And I wish they would come to these meetings when there's property on College Drive and give us their opinion on how that fits. The initiative is published. It was done by a professional group. It's on the county website. Anybody's free to look at it if they want. It's called the College Drive Initiative. But in this case, this does make sense. The BB4 is a little bit spooky, but they've done a good job with it so far.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, on the agenda, we're going to dig down and we're going to pick up item number 6 on the agenda. And I say that because this has been continued twice. And so we're going to hear it briefly before we move on with the rest of the agenda. Ms.
Thank
Carson?
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is PUD 25009. It's a request to change 2.46 acres from commercial to BB5. And as you stated, it was continued at the last meeting. The applicant is here to provide comments on the next step forward with this.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Kelly Hartwig, 3420 Wall Road. I do want to apologize to the board. I talked to Beth and I also talked to Mr. Knight. Due to some family issues, health issues and stuff, I have been unable to get your little corrections done. I just don't want to throw in something at the last minute. If you can give me one more continuous till next month, I promise you I will get it done. But my parents still both are alive, 94 and 93. They come a little first, so I'm sorry. So I just don't have it ready until next month. So I'm
Okay.
asking for a continuous for 30 more days.
Nope, not yet.
Got to check for public.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir. With that saying, I'm going to open the public hearing on this agenda item. For those of interest, this is the property that is right across, it's from Russell Road. I think it's what, 315?
Where Turmeric Kitchen is.
Where Turmeric is, the restaurant there on 17, just north of Green Cove Springs. I don't have any cards on this particular item. Does anybody wish to share their feelings on this? Yes, ma'am, please.
Thank you. My name's Joan Baisley. I live at 3144 Baisley Road, Green Cove Springs, and that property is down the road from the Turmeric restaurant. I'm inclined to be for this expansion of the property use, but, and I thought it was very good the last meeting, the questions that were asked, because I felt like this was kind of loose and open-ended, and once it got approved, we really didn't know how things were going to progress. And one of the things that I think all of us are concerned about is what traffic is going to be increased on 209 behind the property and how it's going to affect our neighborhood. There is a bus stop on the corner there, so children are getting on and off. I recognize that a lot of the use would be in the evening, perhaps after children were already on and off buses. But I had an idea just looking around, and I think I mentioned the last time, there is a church in Green Cove Springs. It's called Spring, I think, Baptist Church, and it backs up to a residential area. And a couple of years ago, they expanded their parking lot and perhaps a building or so. But what they did was, and I was really impressed, they erected a wall, it wasn't just a cement wall, it was some sort of a decorative type block. And I think Mr. Knight also thought about perhaps bricks, because we've seen that in other areas. And it does a couple things. It keeps the lights from coming in to the residential area, reduces the sound, which is going to be increased once those trees and vegetation are taken down from Highway 17. So, but my concern is that if you go ahead and approve it, and maybe you have to do it that way, without establishing a requirement that before any new construction begins, that there is a buffer wall and something that would visually obstruct the back of those buildings and cars and whatever is moving in and out. And if that's possible, then I think it would be agreeable, at least with me, and I would encourage my neighbors to look at it in the same way, because we recognize growth is coming and we want it to be positive. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else who wish to speak on this agenda item? We've also heard from Mr. Knight, who was speaking on this item as well. Seeing no others, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion. The applicant's requested a continuance until July.
I'll make a motion that we continue until July 7th or soon after.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you. All right, now we'll go back to the regular agenda. We will pick up agenda item number 2. Public hearing considers comp 26-006. Ms. Seelig.
This item is also a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment. It will be heard by the board on June 23rd. The applicant is Scott Ennis with Meritage Homes. The property is at the northwest corner of Long Bay Road and Sunrise Farms Road. It's in the Oakleaf Brandon Ridge Planning District, which is under Commission District 4, Commissioner Condon. And there are 2 parcels involved. This future land use change would change the designation of a total of 27.96 acres on these 2 parcels from Brandonfield Community Center and Brandonfield Rural Suburbs to Brandonfield Master Plan Community and Brandonfield Primary Conservation Network. So signs were posted on the property and letters went to the owners of property within 350 feet as shown on the map. And there were quite a few, so I had to split it up into 2 tables. Those are all the folks. On the right is the parcel map, and I want to kind of explain the portions that are actually under the application. So the parcel on the right, it's a little over 20 acres. It's adjacent to Long Bay Road and then also Sunrise. And the entirety of that parcel is affected by the proposed application. The other parcel, which only touches on Sunrise Farms, it's on the left side of the screen. About almost 3/4 of the property is white, and that is not affected by this change. Only the hatched areas at the adjacent to Sunrise Farms is covered by the proposed changes in this application. And you can see that in the yellow on the aerial on the left. On the left here is the existing land use map, and you see that the parcel next to Long Bay is pink. That is the Brandonfield Community Center designation. It's a medium to high density mixed use land use. And on the left, that sort of tan color, that's the Brandonfield Rural Suburbs, which is a medium to low medium residential only type of a land use. The green hatch with the yellow stripe in it, that is the Primary Conservation Network, which is a conservation zoning. The map on the right shows the proposed changes to the property, and I'm actually going to move on to the next slide, which is a zoomed-in version of that portion, so you can see a little better the actual changes that are proposed. So on the far left, there's a tan space. That's the existing Brandonfield Rural Suburbs. That's not changing. Then you can see that the Primary Conservation Network has been expanded into both of these parcels to the south where it currently is. And then a portion of the, it's about 7 acres of the rural suburbs would be changed to master plan community, and all of the 20 acres on the Brandonfield Conservation Community Center portion would become master plan community, and then a little bit of the primary conservation again. And this is the proposed concept plan for the actual development of that portion of the property. The purple represents the housing lots and streets and parks. The green is the conservation area, and then the tan color in the BFRS is a stormwater pond facility and open space. So this table I included it so that you could see some of the existing density, and then the max density with the change, and then the actual number of units that are being proposed. So currently, BFCC, on the right side parcel, if you will, that allows 323 units at its maximum density. The BFRS parcel would allow a maximum of 12 units. With the change, the maximum that would be allowed on that right side parcel would be 202 units, so a reduction. And on the BFRS, the left parcel, it would be 61 units, so an increase. The actual number of units that the applicant is proposing to construct, however, is 126, so considerably under the current maximum allowed. The Oak Leaf Brandon Ridge CAC heard this item last night. They voted 4-2 to recommend approval and added a suggestion that the density be reduced below what was proposed. Staff has looked through the criteria for the comprehensive plan amendment and finds that they have been met and therefore recommends approval of the item. The applicant has a handout for you. We had a little technical difficulty getting a presentation for you in time, but we do have handouts for you for his presentation.
Any questions, staff?
Dodie, before you go to that, can you back up
Sure.
to the maps that you had up there? Go back one more. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I looking at this correctly? The map on the left, right now, there's a little piece of conservation that drops into this area we're talking about.
Yes.
Yet, if these changes are made, we will actually end up with additional conservation land? Is that what this map
Yes.
is showing?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and that conservation land, that's not buildable. That becomes part of the conservation network in Brandon Field.
Correct, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what the increase is, or maybe the applicant will know, but I'd be curious to
I-
know the exact
yeah, I-
numbers.
Don't know the exact number of
Okay.
C.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
What was the suggestion on the reduction from the committee? Do you know?
All I was told was that it was reduce it from what was proposed, whether that was proposed as in the concept, the potential proposed, or the literal on the concept plan proposed. I don't know that.
So the number that they're proposing to develop, which was far less obviously than what they technically can,
Correct.
is the reduction being asked for that lesser amount even?
I'm not sure, but let me see, I think. You were there. Yes, the chair is here this evening and can answer that probably better for you.
I think we would like to hear from him.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, but the applicant is asking for what, 120,
126.
126?
Yeah, that's what they're proposing.
Total units on both parcels.
Yes.
And the,
No, when it was 126 plus 61, right?
No,
Parcels.
no, that's what's allowable.
so,
Actual number of units proposed, 126. That's the total.
those are so if you were looking at the middle set of numbers, is that where the confusion lied?
Well,
Yeah.
you split it into two different categories, the BFCC and the BFRS. But then the bottom number, that was a total of the BFCC and BFRS
Right,
that they're
yes.
looking for.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I want to make sure I understand it correctly. So as it's currently, has current land use and current zoning, there would be potential to develop 335 units.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
The density, so the proposed changes would allow up to 263 units, which is a reduction from 335, obviously.
Correct.
And then, but what they're actually proposing is even less than that, so it's 126.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
plus additional conservation.
all right, plus additional conservation.
Okay. Any
And-
other questions of staff?
No, never mind.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
It wasn't,
Okay.
it wasn't relevant, yeah.
Is the applicant here, please?
I apologize for the technical difficulty there. My name is Scott Ennis from Meritage Homes. Dodie, I do want to thank you. That was a very thorough presentation, and so I'll try not to be too repetitious.
Is his mic on, Dodie?
Should be on.
Yep, okay.
Sorry. So again, I'm Scott Ennis. I'm from Meritage Homes, and yeah, feel free to pass those out to anybody else who wants one until we run out. And I'll explain. I think probably everyone is so used to developers and home builders coming in wanting to increase the density that it perhaps catches the community a little bit off guard when you want to come in and reduce the density. And that is what we're proposing. And I'll explain why. There's several reasons. So starting on, I'll jump forward a little bit. On slide 4, that's just a nice overview of what's been happening in the area. It's been developing. We've all seen that. And I think that it lends itself well to keep in mind that slide 4, keep in mind all of the development that has been occurring and that we see occurring in the near future, the next 3-5 years. When we look at slide 5, that's the existing land use map. And so when you drive the roads right now, some of the areas developed, some of it is still pretty rural. And you might think you're in a very rural, undeveloped area, but everything you see in BFCC in that kind of pink color in the near future it has the potential at least to be developed to a fairly high density. And we're asking to reduce that density. So I think there's a disconnect sometimes. People think we're here to increase density. That's not what we're doing. So I'll show you the math and I'll show you what's going on. On slide 6, this is the challenge that we face with this site. You see that red cross hatching, nice and scary looking. Those are the wetlands. And BFCC on the corner, as currently land used, has a minimum density of 8 units per acre. Well, to achieve that density on that site, you would need to impact the vast majority of those wetlands, which we don't want to do. And you would also need to build townhomes, like the townhomes across Long Bay. And we also don't want to do that. We'd much rather build something that complements and maybe steps down, maybe somewhere in between. You know, you've got acre lots across Sunrise, and then you've got 20-foot townhomes across Long Bay. And so we're thinking, let's step it and try and complement both. And so, and at the same time, minimizing wetland impacts. So that's where you end up with, on slide 7, the math. And you can see Dodie really hit on all this math already, but what we're proposing would reduce the maximum density, as already stated, to 253, and then we are further only requesting 126 units. So significantly smaller. This allows us to minimize wetland impacts. All the rest of the wetlands that aren't touched, which is approximately 7 acres, a little over 7 acres, go into PCN for, you know, conservation. And you end up with lots that are 34-foot wide and 44-foot wide. So much bigger than the adjacent townhomes, and we believe it complements both adjacent uses. There are other concerns I know that the community has, and I can speak to some of those as well. The wetlands are a big concern. Drainage is a big concern. I can assure you this site will meet all of the requirements, all of the permit requirements, the Water Management District. Before I worked at Meritage, I was a project manager and design engineer. I'm a licensed professional engineer, and about 70% of the work I did was drainage design. You can, if you go on the Water Management District website and look me up, you'll see some permits that I signed and sealed. So trust me when I say we will follow the stormwater rules. I'm probably more critical of the engineers that we hire than most builders might be. So Water Management District requires you meet, 25-year, 24-hour storm. You cannot increase discharge off your site. So we're not going to flood the neighbors. On top of that, the county has substantial concurrency requirements. Of course, we will follow all of those procedures and meet all of those requirements. So things like traffic, schools, that's all looked at during the county's concurrency process, during its civil review. And of course, we will abide by whatever the county requires. If it's a turn lane, if it's signalization somewhere, et cetera. I mean, that's the county determines it after the traffic study is performed, and we meet the requirements. So, we believe this benefits the community and preserves a lot of wetlands. Let me just make sure I'm hitting everything. And I think when you really dig into the code and dig into what the current land use allows and what we're proposing, this seems like a very smart way, reasonable way to respect community's wishes while also growing in a responsible way, if you will. So I'm happy to answer questions. I don't want to keep repeating myself, so.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yes, sir.
question. I have some questions. Tony, can we go back to those maps again? Okay, you know what, go to this site plan, go forward just that one. So I want to make sure I'm clear on this because I am adamantly opposed to removing conservation land that's already in conservation. But if I'm looking at your plan correctly, there's an arrow there where that gray area is on the left. And I know the audience doesn't have the advantage of these drawings that you gave us. But it appears to me, from what I'm seeing, that there's a little bit of that right there. That's going to remain in conservation. It's not going to be touched. So we are not losing any of the current conservation land.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct. We're increasing it.
Okay.
We're not touching.
And then in addition to that, you are actually going to put into conservation the area the rest of that green area that is kind of wetlands today, and you're going to move it into conservation as part of the Brandon Field plan. So you can't come back later and say, I want to build on that, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Right? Okay, I see staff nodding too. Okay, and I noticed that the lot, I'm also, don't like narrow lots, but sometimes we have to trade this stuff off. 34 to 44 is pretty narrow lot. So with a lot that narrow, what's the setback in the front of the house is going to be? And I'll tell you why I asked this question. Because invariably, you got a 34, 44-foot wide lot. And there are going to be 3 or 4 cars at that house. There's not going to be anywhere for them to park on the driveways. So how do you envision handling that? I've been a strong proponent here, and we've actually changed the code, but you've got a PUD, so is this not a PUD? Is this going to be a PUD?
Straight
No.
zoning.
So,
Straight land use.
excuse me a minute. So is our new 25-foot setback for the front going to apply? Okay, then just answer for me, where are the overflow cars going to go and how wide are those streets? Because if we're lucky, we're going to get 2 cars on the driveway, right? Is that correct, or just 1? These look like 2-car garages.
That's correct. 2-car garages. So you could potentially have 2 cars in the garage and an additional 2 cars in the driveway.
Nobody parks in the garage, so
Fair
there'll
enough.
be 2 on the driveway. Let's
Had
be
to try.
realistic. There are a handful of people, but most people are not parking in their garages. So you're gonna have two cars in the driveway. Where are the overflow from that? Where are those additional cars gonna end up parking?
So there would be space for parallel parking along the street, on the sides of the homes, things like that. This is very high-level concept, so it's not, we don't have a level of detail, I'll certainly acknowledge. There is active rec space on the west side. There would be some parking, near there, to provide access. The county's code requires a certain number of spaces, and we would abide by that requirement.
I know what they require, but honestly, sometimes it's inadequate when you have these narrow lots. So, I think one of my fellow commissioners lives in an area where everybody parks on the street and they can't even get the fire engine through there when there's an emergency. So these are my concerns that are gonna have to be addressed, and hopefully if this does go through the design review committee, will help you solve those. But, it is a concern that comes up. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you. How high are the building pads gonna be raised? What's the current requirement that you think you're gonna have to meet for that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the topo out there. I at least don't have it memorized. So I'm not sure. There would probably, I know it's higher in certain locations than others. So some of the site would need to be lowered and some site would need to be raised. It's not a good answer, but.
I think that, and then the last question, which, just curious, when you do the homeowners in here, are they gonna be allowed to park boats in their house, at their house?
That's a new one for me.
For me, I ask this all the time because they end up building these neighborhoods and the homeowners say, you can't park your boat or your camper here. Guess where they park them? My neighborhood.
Okay.
So I'm always wanting to know if anybody's thinking ahead, where are we gonna put all those RVs and boats that people aren't allowed to keep in their yard?
We can definitely add that language. That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So now you know my concerns. I just wanted to ask them.
Thank
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Hi, so, unfortunately, you don't have the slide to show folks, but on slide 6, you have the red hatched area, and you said that's the wetland, is that right?
Correct. That's the wetlands as they currently sit.
So, I'm just curious, can you explain how you're gonna mitigate impacting the wetlands with a little bit of specificity?
Sure. The big answer is mitigation credits. So there's approximately 12 acres of wetlands on the site. Approximately 7 go into conservation.
Okay,
So then you're impacting 4 and change. I don't remember the exact numbers.
right.
We will be doing everything we can to reduce that number. It's very expensive to buy mitigation credits, and also no one wants to impact wetlands. I enjoy the environment just as everyone else. But that's really the short answer is mitigation credits.
Okay, I was just curious.
Any other questions?
I don't, no, and I don't, can you take just a second and explain for everyone's benefit what that process involves? Basically, you're buying credit somewhere else. I'll let you explain it.
That's right. So the way the mitigation bank process works, and this is all state regulated, wetlands the entire state is divided up into basins, wetland basins that all drain to the same areas. And so when you buy mitigation credits, a bank has gone, a wetland bank has created new wetlands somewhere within the same basin that did not exist before. And then you are then purchasing from them the right to those wetlands. And it's not apples to apples. So you get an environmental scientist, the wetlands are graded because depending on the quality of the wetlands, et cetera, this is all reviewed by the state. And after the state evaluates the environmental scientist's work, it is determined how many credits your impact requires, and then you go and purchase them from that bank. So you are essentially creating wetlands within the basin, so nearby somewhere, to make up for the wetlands that you're impacting in the same basin.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No questions, but I just want to kind of add on to what Ralph was saying before, if I may.
Yep, Chef.
So what I do know about homeowners associations is that the state changed laws last year, I believe, in 2025. So before you set up any type of documents for the community such as that, I would certainly look into getting an attorney that does HOA covenants and restrictions, because there's a lot of new changes and a lot of people need to know what those changes are in respect to what Ralph was saying. And the other thing I do believe is that we have a few years ago now, I think, have changed the width of new roads going into developments. I think they have to go to minimum 24 feet, am I correct? Okay, because they were 20. Okay.
The only thing I've got is point of clarification. You state here you're going to pave Sunrise Farms Road?
That's correct. That, I believe, is going to be a requirement of the county.
Okay, but
So yes,
from just the face in front of your development, or?
I believe the
have any
county is going to
idea yet?
require us to connect it all the way to where, to fully pave the unpaved section.
Okay. All right.
I'll defer to the county's requirement on that.
Thank you very much. The CAC chairperson.
Good afternoon, Steve Van Bloom, Oak Leaf, Brandon Ridge, CAC. The question, I believe the gentleman, Joe, I don't say your last name. You're asking about the stipulation reduction. The concept we got was 126, and we asked, was there a possibility for a reduction? And they said they feel like they reduced enough. The stipulation that the board voted on for approval was a minimum of 50 feet lot width, and that would I don't know how long that would reduce it to, but it would. We feel that 34 feet minimum width width is not satisfy for what the Brandonfield rural suburbs zoning would fulfill, and that state, I have an excerpt here. It states that rural suburbs land use is intended for maintain a rural character of the area, and based off that, if you look across the street from the proposed property that's being changed, all those houses are ranch-style homes on acres, and I know that there is a catty corner from their property that they have either about to open or they're currently still building townhomes. So I think they're trying to find a way in. I don't feel that's satisfactory, but that's how the board voted. Did you have questions, sir?
I do. Are you saying that the board voted approval with a contingency that the lots be a minimum of 50 feet?
That was going to be our recommendation.
Recommended,
Yes.
or was that what was the motion and that was approved? It's a difference. In other words, that was your recommendation, but you passed it as it is, correct?
That was
With the
approval with that
34
stipulation.
So the 4-2 vote was with the stipulation that they increased their lot size to 50 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you,
And the question I would have for the applicant is, what does that mean in terms of the reduction? Well, let's ask.
Sorry to interrupt. I believe the stipulation was 45 foot was the request, not 50. And I will just note that the lot mix right now does have 34s, but it also is 30% 44s, which is 1 foot shy of 45. So given the costs that go into this, paving Sunrise Farm roads, et cetera, there isn't room to reduce it. And that's where it lands.
So basically what you're saying, the impact of going to a 50-foot lot would be what?
Would be single-family homes no longer work, and you either need to have a lot more wetland impacts or look at something different like townhomes. That we went through 20 different versions of this site plan to try and find something that we thought would work for the community and also work for the development. And we didn't want to come in and present some scary picture, and then, you know, we didn't want to present something that would leave room for, oh, you want us to cut out 20, we'll cut out 20, and then land at 126. This is the development that was honestly what we felt worked for everyone. And there's just not room to increase lot size without hurting something else, be it the wetlands, or, you know, increasing cost, and then you can't afford to do the Sunrise Farms Road, and then the whole thing turns into townhomes. So this was what worked. I don't know how else to say it. I apologize.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, Joe.
What is the size driveways you're planning to put in? Not length, but width? 2-car, 1-car?
2-car.
So that would have to be, I'm assuming, a minimum of 16 feet?
Correct.
So on a 36-foot lot, in the frontage of the home, there would be 20 feet for parking a vehicle, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So I just want to explore this idea. So if the zoning, if you guys, anybody wanted to develop it to its maximum capacity, its maximum density of 335 units, what would that look like?
It would be townhomes and very little wetlands, little to no wetlands.
And then, and same thing, and so you guys are asking for certain zoning changes and land use changes that would then make that maximum 263, which again, to get 263 units on there, it's townhomes again.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then what you've actually applied for, the proposed site plan you have has 126 single family, no townhomes, no multifamily, it's 100% single family.
That's correct, with standard setbacks, all the normal code. This is not a PUD or anything special.
Okay.
One more question.
Commissioner?
This is for staff, this one. What is, it doesn't show on any of these maps, but if you go back one, Dodie, it might show, I'm looking at a different map. Yeah, that one. See the two that are south of this, the two purple parcels? Those are also BFCC. And what's the maximum density on that?
It's at minimum of 8 and a maximum of 16
Per acre.
per acre.
I don't know how big those are, but they look to be multi-acre. So with the zoning that's in place right now, today, I know those probably have single-family homes on them right now, but at some point, if those people decide to sell their property, someone could come in and put in up to 16 homes per acre in there. Is that that's correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the fact that it's single-family homes right now isn't really, in the planning horizon, it could be a whole lot more houses.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions before I go to?
Just a comment.
Yes.
On page 3 of Mr. Ennis's handout, it shows the townhome development across the street, which is, I believe, the purple parcel that you're talking about.
Yes, this one right here.
Yeah. And it says 20-foot wide townhomes.
Yep. 140 of them.
Okay.
I do actually have one more question. I didn't get it. Is that picture on the front of your handout a sample? I mean, I know it's not what you're gonna, but is this a sample of what you're hoping to build?
Yes, those are renderings of the homes that we would be building.
Okay. Okay, very good. Dodie, is there one of these on the podium? Is there,
I can leave one here.
would you? Or you can put mine up there. I've looked at it because people that come up to speak, they didn't have the advantage of seeing this.
We have a few extras. So
Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to open the public comment. I have a lot of cards, so we'll just work through these. We'll start out with David Hoag. Is that correct?
It's David Huff, by the way.
I'm sorry.
I live at 3810 Calvary Court, Middleburg, right up the road from this development. I've been following it pretty closely, partially due to some mix-up in the CACs, but I have some concerns. One is the wetlands. I think there are alternatives to buying credits, and I think that needs to be explored further. There's a lot of wetlands in that area, and I think that the damage there to the ecosystem, not just in that particular lot, but further north along Long Bay, could be significant. There's been no transportation study done. Azalea Ridge was put in, and the townhomes there on Long Bay were put in, and those of us that live off Old Jennings are just flooded now with cars, because you mentioned 4 cars per home. Yes, and there are more than 4 drivers in some of those homes, many of them, especially the townhomes. And where do they go? They don't go south to Blanding, because they're going to Duval and other areas. So they come up Long Bay, and the traffic on Old Jennings now, compared to what it was even 5 years ago, is horrendous. So I think that needs to be further looked into as we continue to bring density and density and density into this area. You know, I think that needs to be considered more. So I think this needs to be looked at a little bit closer before it goes to the Board of County Commissioners. And I think there needs to be some questions answered. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Huff. Stephen Van Bloom.
Hello again. I'm speaking now as a citizen, but I do want to apologize. The gentleman was right. I misread my notes. It is 45 feet. That's what the board stipulated. So I apologize for that error. Next, I want to bring up. I'm sorry, my papers are not. Here we go. Bring up a point of dispute. I live over by Kindlewood, the northern part of Clay County. It's right by Oakleaf, and we live near a Meritage Home construction site right now. They did a horrible job protecting the neighborhoods around them from flooding, and we had a bad rainstorm, and all of that water had nowhere to go. So after they removed all the trees, it went onto our community and flooded six homes worth of yards. Luckily, no water had penetrated into the people's houses at that time, but we're talking about inches and gold and headaches and heartaches from all that. So I don't feel that that's very credible coverage or mitigation for what the gentleman was saying about the wetlands. Now, you say right now these are the wetlands in current condition, current state. We've been in a drought. We've had low water recently. So when that water does come back, is it going to be the same, or is it going to just continue to flood? If you look on Google Maps, you could do Street View. You could go back in time, and you could angle a camera to where the property is. And just a few years ago, that wetlands, that water came to the street, to the where the was it Sunrise Farms, and right now it looks drier than it has been previously. But when that water comes back, it's going to come back with a vengeance. And these home lots that are in that area, I don't feel that that's be consideration for safety, because if you have a really bad storm, hurricanes, water's got to go somewhere. It's going to go in your house. And to make a point about what I was saying earlier, you look across the street from this proposed land, and you drive around that whole area. Those are like ranch homes. They're pretty desirable. They look nice, and if you're going to be driving up to something that you would see, in a very urban area, you got houses all really close to each other, cookie cutter neighborhood. This is not the area for that to be. It'd be out of place. Those townhomes that are catty corner are going to be out of place. It's not sufficient for rural. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeremy Graves. Mr. Graves? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Graves is against this, but chooses not to speak. And Jessica Fields?
Hi, my name's Jessica Fields. I live off of Long Bay, and as the other gentleman had spoke, that area is ranch homes. They're beautiful. They're on large lots, like 6 acres, 1 acre, anywhere's around there. I agree that this would be completely out of place. I was sad and frustrated whenever I saw the public notice signs for rezoning. There's already been a good bit of development, as other people have stated, with the townhomes. There's actually an RV park that's being put in there as well. Again, all that traffic is a concern, plus the water flow and all of that. I hope that y'all consider preserving as much of the country, rural areas in Clay County as much as possible. It would be nice to have a lower density option, homes on larger lots versus a subdivision. I get that this is a lower density than what they could put in there, but it still is a cookie cutter subdivision in my opinion. Most of the streets off of Long Bay still offer what Middleburg used to be, and that is country land. I hope that y'all consider protecting it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I know it's not, ma'am, can you come back, tell me where is an RV park going?
So do you all know where the old Girl Scout camp was at
Yes.
the end of, is it Lazy Acres?
I know where it
And
is.
it is now turned into an RV park. It is called
Okay.
Firefly RV Park, which is a whole another can of worms that we can.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer Graves?
Good evening. I recently moved to Clay County from Mandarin because my family was searching for something that was becoming increasingly rare in Northeast Florida: space, peace, open land, and true rural community. We chose this area intentionally because it still reflects old Florida charm, equestrian, and agricultural character that so many communities have already lost to overdevelopment. I want to begin by saying that I fully respect the rights of property owners to sell and develop their land. I also understand that growth is inevitable. This is not a statement against that growth. It's a request for responsible growth that remains compatible with the community that already exists. The concern many residents have with the Comp 26006 is it's not simply one development in isolation. It's the cumulative impact of continued high-density approvals in the area that was never designed to function as an urban corridor. Within the immediate area, like we have spoke, there's already 140 townhomes that's in the villages of Long Bay. The former 250-plus acre Girl Scout camp is converted into the Firefly Rentals, which are selling at 0.1 acre lots right down the street that would have to use Sunrise Farms to get to that property. We must ask ourselves, when does the cumulative growth fundamentally change the identity of our community? The Clay County Comprehensive plan specifically states that Brandon Field rural suburbs designated exist to preserve the rural character, large lots, and compatibility with the existing development. Residents relied on those planning protections when purchasing their home and investing into the community. The proposed concept plan introduces lots reportedly narrow as 34 feet. That type of density is simply incompatible with the established rural large lot character that defines Sunrise Farms Road and the surrounding area. The issue is not whether development should occur. The issue is whether the development being approved reflects the vision of the infrastructures and the realities of the community. Our roads remain narrow, rural corridors, traffic congestion continues to increase, emergency access, drainage, school capacity, stormwater impacts are becoming growing concerns. While each individual project may appear manageable on paper, residents experience the cumulative reality every single day. Communities built around larger lot home ownership and lower density plan to create stronger long-term neighborhood stability, reinvestment, and preservation of property values and community identity. Once rural character is lost, it simply cannot be recreated later. If this development moves forward, I respectfully ask that we consider a significantly lower density alternative that better aligns with the surrounding area instead of the currently proposed compact configuration. It will reduce the traffic, better preserve compatibility of surrounding homes, infrastructure strain, maintain the character, and create more appropriate transition between existing communities and future growth. Growth is coming, and we just want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Charlie Steele?
I can't do any better than that, so.
I'll put ditto on this card.
Yes, we'll do ditto.
Okay. Robert Shirley, Robert Drake Shirley.
Good evening. My name is Robert Drake Shirley, and I'm a resident of Middleburg. I live off Lazy Acre Road, which connects directly to Sunrise Farms Road. The area being considered for development under Comp 260006 is within walking distance of my home. My wife and I both grew up in this community. In fact, my wife has lived on Lazy Acre Road her entire life. We've watched this area change over the years, and we care deeply about its future because this is our home, not just a place that we recently moved into, but we do appreciate people that move in that care as well, so thank you. We are concerned about the flooding impacts that could result from this proposed land use amendment. Our area already experiences significant rainfall events, and many residents have witnessed drainage and flooding issues firsthand. This area is right on Black Creek. We remember flooding associated with numerous tropical storms and hurricanes and the devastation they caused along Black Creek over the years. In fact, during past flooding events, my wife and I have used boats and waded through chest-deep water to aid neighbors to rescue their dogs, horses, chickens, and other animals threatened by the flooded roads. All of the surrounding roads, they just already flood. Sunrise Farms is the only exit to get out of those roads. So adding a neighborhood there, I just have concerns with the flooding issues. Because of that history, I'm concerned about approving additional development without fully understanding how it could affect stormwater runoff and flooding for existing residents. As development continues and additional impervious surfaces and changes to natural drainage patterns can increase runoff and place greater strain on existing drainage systems, potentially worsening and devastating flooding for nearby homes and properties. Before any land use changes are approved, I believe Clay County should require clear evidence that this project will not increase flooding risks for surrounding residents or negatively impact the natural drainage systems that serve this area. My wife and I hope to raise our family here and remain a part of this community for many years to come. For that reason, I respectfully ask that the Planning Commission to carefully consider the long-term flooding impacts of this amendment and vote against it unless it can be demonstrated that existing residents will be fully protected. In addition to flooding concerns, I'm also concerned with the cumulative impact that continued development will have on our community. Roads in this area are already becoming more congested. Emergency services are stretched across a rapidly growing population, and the rural character that is long defined this part of Clay County continues to disappear. Growth is inevitable, but it should be carefully planned and balanced with the infrastructure, environmental protections, and quality of life that existing residents depend on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shirley. I have one other card, Gloria Crawford, and she's waving or speaking, but she is also against this amendment. That's all the cards I have. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this agenda item?
Got 3 or 4.
Okay.
Pass it up, go ahead while I'm here. Okay. They waved me to go ahead and speak. My name is Helena Cormier. My address is 2839 Woodbridge Crossing Court, Green Cove Springs, Florida. I just want to say thank you again for everything that y'all are doing. I was at the CAC meeting last night for a different project and following, and able to hear and listen to this one. And as they spoke about this one when they talked about the lot sizes, I misheard them. I thought they said 30 to 40-foot lots, and I was heavily concerned on that one. But they did clarify that it was 34 to 44 lots, lot size on that. So I was, it is what it is on that part of it. I appreciate the map that Dodie presented that showed what the unit count could have been and how maximized it would have been if it sat in its current standing. And I don't know if the residents quite understand that, but that land allows that higher density, whether it's apartments or whether it's the townhomes, because of the Lake Asbury master plan. When the people are moving into these areas, and unfortunately not all realtors explain to them, you're moving into a master plan area that land already dictates a usage. And that front part of that is a lot. And so what they're trying to do and I'm a very conservative person. Anybody that watches me come to these meetings knows. But what they're doing here is actually reducing what they could do. If they don't buy this land and let's say somebody else does, that land would allow that apartment complex style units with that maximum density. And so they are trying to reduce it significantly by bringing it to the single family. When they did speak about the lot sizes and they were asked about reducing or, increasing the lot to a 45-foot lot size, the county has a requirement to have variations in there, so there's got to be 2 different sizes for that, for whatever reasons. But they would have been willing to maybe reduce, a couple houses on the house count. And if maybe there's any way when they're doing their configuration to figure a parking area of a few of those lots to allow for overflow parking, maybe that compromise. And obviously there are a lot of standards in place with our state, with our agencies, with the St. Johns River Water Management, and they have to evaluate many different things to get the permits to actually build this. And I respect that. I understand that. I know that y'all's job is difficult, and a lot of people have different feelings. And I thank the residents for coming out here and voicing their opinion as well. But I hope that they hear me when they understand the master plan was already approved and already there. And so thank you for what y'all do, and thank you for everybody that voices.
Thank you. Brittany Sellers. And then we'll have Joseph Tomlin. Ms. Sellers, did you take the oath?
Yes, sir. Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Brittany Sellers. I didn't intend on speaking, but I just wanted to kind of comment on a couple of things that were said about this situation. And Mr. Puckhaber, he mentioned that the conservation land would be extended, but I just kind of wanted to point out that additional conservation land kind of means nothing when it's surrounded by high density development and people are spraying their lawns and using all kinds of chemicals, washing their cars. And what does it really matter that the conservation is expanded 5 or so acres if you're cutting down 20 acres or more? This new development would increase traffic, as a lot of people have brought up. One thing I will add to that is it is a 2-lane road. So that means now we have new road construction with this development, and that that's a huge concern because pretty much all of Middleburg is under new construction, new road construction. And I agree with some of these people who have brought up the fact that, yeah, they're talking about lower density. They're trying to lower the density, but Middleburg has always been, and I think a lady mentioned this, that it's always been large acre lots. I live in Middleburg. I have a 4-acre lot. We homestead. A lot of people who live in Middleburg want to homestead, but they're like bringing people in who don't have any desire for that. You brought up the boats. Another gentleman says it's right on Black Creek. So a lot of people are going to be taking boats out to Black Creek. That's very popular. So yeah, I just kind of hope you will vote no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Sellers. Mr. Tomlin? Did you take the oath?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Howdy, good evening, and thanks for giving me the chance to talk. So my wife and I moved to Clay County 5 years ago when the Navy sent us here. We moved to a 1-acre lot on Baxley Road, and we moved here because it was what we were looking for, which was this rural agricultural area. We loved it so much that we plan to stay, and that pentagon-shaped lot is my lot. My wife and I bought the small family farm there that we run, where we raise cows and horses and goats, and my wife runs a small farm stand on that lot. So I understand that you're looking for bigger lots and than could possibly exist, and completely understand and appreciate that sentiment. My question and my concern is how much and what is the impact to around. If you don't mind going to the Google Maps slide, if that's possible. The wetland impact is going to be of quite honestly, devastating impact to my farm and my family. The last 2 storms that we had prior to this current drought, the water level came up to our house. Ma'am, I'm looking for the one with that shows like the pink wetlands. Sorry, I don't know which slide it is on here. We don't have those slides. It was up on the screen, or sorry. Do you have? Yeah, that one will help. That's perfect. Thank you. So that green conservation area, I think is intended, and everyone understands that's wetlands, and all of the purple is essentially going to be concrete, as everyone was talking about the lots, right? So most of the lot will be concrete. Very little of that lot will be grass. All of that runoff is going to run into that green wetlands, right? That's why wetlands are there. And as such, my house is that Y-shaped lot, and the little blue thing is my ditch, which is going to completely fill my ditch and my fields. So my horses will not be able to be in the fields. My cows will not be able to be in the fields because they're going to flood as a result of this. So, like, I understand that it's conservation area, but this density is going to increase the water into that wetlands, which is going to flood out my farm, and we won't be able to stay there. Like, we will not be able to operate as a farm. We will not be able to be the rural thing that people move to Clay County for. Like, I truthfully, like, if this gets developed, like, I want these people to come to our farm stand. I want them to be a part of our community, but at this density, like, it's going to completely ruin our farm, like the amount of water that's going to come in. I'm not like a stranger. Like, I understand that land can and will be developed, but so you talked about the how much that concrete is going to take up on such a narrow lot. I think that the barrier to bigger lots is just how much profit there is, for lack of a better term. So I understand it could get developed, but at this density, like, it's going to be a major problem for my family and my farm. Thank you so much for your time.
Joseph, would you give us your name and address, please, for the record?
Yes, sir. Joseph John Tomolini, 3973 Sunrise Farms Road.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tomlin.
Appreciate it.
Amber Crosby.
Hello, my name is Amber Crosby. I'm 40 years old and I'm a Middleburg native. My family has lived off of Brandonfield since the 60s, and so we are able to say firsthand kind of what it's like to have these developments come in and consume your area. Middleburg has always been a country forest town with large lots and farmland, and now it's all being paved over and replaced with fill dirt and concrete. These lots are not even, people who move into these lots are not even going to be able to farm because fill dirt is not fertile. There's a lot of things that are going to come from this that are going to create issues. We are losing wild spaces and farmlands as it is in our area, and we need to cut back on that. We don't have the proper infrastructure. We only have 2 elementary schools nearby. And like I said, most of my points have already been touched base on, but I have seen firsthand what happens when they bring all this fill dirt in and it moves the flood zones. I have seen people lose almost their entire properties to eminent domain for the toll road. It's very difficult as a native to see all of these changes that have happened, and a lot of them have not been positive. My family still lives on Brandonfield. I live currently in Fox Meadow, right around the corner, and I pass this lot practically every day. I know about the flood zones. Lately, we have been in a drought, and so they're not capable of looking at that property now and saying what it will look like when our weather is wet. And on top of that, they're putting another retention pond. We have enough retention ponds in the area, and I can't tell you how many of them I've seen. We have a 7-Eleven right around the corner from this where they dug up an existing pond that had wildlife in it. They killed everything in that pond, and we saw for weeks turtles dead in the road right next to it. I'm tired of my kids having to see this. We live here for the country. We live here for farmland, for things of the such. It's very difficult to see that it keeps doing this. We have high density coming up in all sorts of areas, and now we're breaking into conservation land. This looks promising. It looks very, very promising, but it is still going to hurt the people in the surrounding area. It is going to create flooding problems. Most of that property is woods. Once they clear all those woods out and replace that with concrete, there is not going to be any more natural land to absorb any floodwater. Black Creek is in that area. This is an issue, and we hope that you guys will make the right decision and slow down the development in our area, especially high-density developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crosby. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak?
I would, but I didn't.
You didn't take the oath? Yeah, I didn't take the oath. Well, come on down, we can make arrangements for that.
I had to get up the courage to speak.
Okay, can you hold on just a
Yep.
second? Did you have a card? Did you take the oath too? Okay, would you come forward? We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Is anybody else?
Gentlemen.
Okay.
Sir, did you take the oath? The gentleman in the back.
Sir, would you come forward, please? Did you take the oath? Okay.
If you'll all raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you all.
Okay, have a seat close and we'll take you one by one. Okay. Name and address.
I am Linda Doctor, and I live at 4009 Country Meadows Drive, Middleburg, Florida, which is 1 road over from Sunrise. In the past, when we've had storms, the creek that runs from Sunrise through Country Meadows has flooded, and that flood water goes down to Lazy Acres. If we do not have that runoff, if we don't have that natural runoff, we're going to flood even more. The last storm in 2017 cut off the only way in for most people from Country Meadows because it blocked off the whole middle of the road. So that only left one way out from the one end of Country Meadows to Sunrise Up or the other way. And also you have to take into account that you're going to put another development on the other side of Blanding, which is also going to affect the creek, because when the storms come in, that is a natural runoff for the water from Blanding. And that goes straight out. And with those new developments you want to put all the way down Blanding, there is nowhere for that water to go but to the existing neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Emily Umpleby?
Hello, good evening. I'm Emily Umpleby at 4171 Fishing Creek Lane in Azalea Ridge, near this area. I am a professional auditor, and so when a board or a committee approves a stipulation, I think it is presents a red flag when what is presented does not agree to what is stipulated. Hearing today, this is the first time in speaking, I wasn't going to speak, but inspired. Hearing a 45 requirement was a stipulation. What was presented today was in the 30s. As far as a lot size, that does present a red flag. Also, too, as an auditor, looking and listening to what is being proposed, if somebody doesn't have the facts to how they're going to accomplish something, that also presents a red flag. And in that case, I would just vote no. On a personal note, I am born and raised in Middleburg, Florida. Moved away when I got married in 2019 and came back last year. Why did I come back? I have two boys, 5 and 3. I wanted to raise them in the nature. I wanted to raise them in Middleburg, where we care for our neighbors, where we have a food stand and provide for those that are around us. Some things to observe. I graduated Middleburg High School in 2010. We had a class about 1,100. I believe the class this year is around 1,800. You're proposing, I think the pamphlet said 253 homes. You already have townhomes near Middleburg High School. This would increase the influx to the local schools, the elementary school in Tynes, or the other elementary schools. Do they have the capacity would be definitely something to believe or something to research. As others have spoke the traffic. So living in Azalea, to talking about the lot size, and I believe somebody had mentioned emergency vehicles, somebody was knowledgeable. I live in Azalea. 3 weeks ago, we had emergency vehicles that could not get through one of our busier streets. What is being proposed, Azalea actually has pretty broad streets. However, you have people that have 2 or 3 cars parked in the middle. That is a concern in the fact if you have lesser lots, smaller parkways, those emergency vehicles are not going to get through. Leaving Azalea, trying to get on Blanding, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to turn left to get to the toll road. On Long Bay right now, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes in the morning to take my kids to school. With that being said, born and raised in Fox Meadows, it used to take me about 15 minutes down Old Jennings. Now it takes me about 30 to 45 minutes if I hit it just right. So I would vote no because I don't think we do have the infrastructure. Also, I did observe the team sitting with the gentleman that proposed it, shaking their head when the gentleman was talking about doing the farm stand for the neighbors. I moved back because Middleburg stands for that. You stand for your local neighbors and you want to stand up and be there for others. When somebody comes in and wants to change that and shakes their head at that idea, that does present some concern. So, thank you.
One comment, I think you said 256, it's 126 homes they're planning. That's the plan.
Okay, I just borrowed somebody's pamphlet, but I believe that it said maximum proposed was 253 on the pamphlet.
But their project has 126.
Loud.
Thank you. Will Antweller? Did I say that right?
Yes, sir. All right, good evening, everybody. William Antweiler, 4072 Sunrise Farms Road. I believe it said everybody got a notice. If they were within 350 feet of this land, I must be at 351. All right. Two big questions. All right. So I get that the 20-acre original parcel is a part of the Brandon Field Master Complex, not Lake Asbury. This is encompassing a portion of the 55 acres to the west of it. So where is that falling in?
Seelig?
I'm sorry. The 20 acres is the,
The corner
Parcel
lot
on the
that's
right,
the,
on the
that's
corner.
Horse Arena.
right,
Used to be a rodeo complex, Middleburg Staple.
uh-huh,
And
And
then the
then-
adjacent lot to the left, to the west,
right,
is 55-acre parcel.
right, they're only affecting 12 acres? That is the colored part, the kind of grayish color to the
So is
north
it
is
all
not.
being sold together as?
No, they're, the subject parcel on the right in its entirety, and then the 12 acres of the southern part of the parcel on the left is what's under contract to the applicants.
So the land density is what I'm getting at is, are they encompassing all of that 55 acres? Or they're just rezoning the 12 acres? Is it being sold as a partial?
You need, so I'm speaking secondhand because this is really, the applicant has this knowledge. My understanding is that the property owner is separating the parcel on the left, carving out 12 acres, and selling that 12 acres and the parcel on the right as one project to the applicants.
So his remaining 34 acres will be landlocked.
Okay,
No, there
Let's
is an
move
easement.
for- let's move
That's
forward, please.
not related to this
And
project.
I'm not a drainage engineer. I do live right down the road. I've been here for 24-plus years, my 42-year life. And I was there during Irma. Water goes downhill. Florida's flat. This land is flat. It's all swamp. So buying land conservation management somewhere else just to raise this area up is not gonna fly. They've already dug all the retention ponds, the townhomes right across the road on Long Bay. All that dirt came out of the Girl Scout camp. I'm really upset with the familiarity of the boards of this area. Like Firefly is already paying to pave Sunrise Farms, so they'll save you that money, right? Because it's already in the papers for it to be paved. So the fact that they're saying they're gonna pay to have it paved, which none of us that live there want to have it paved. So there's a lot of disparity in this, and I just wish you all vote no. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Okay, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the applicant.
Well,
I think most of the concerns we've heard focus on potential flooding.
I agree, and all all of these concerns are valid, and I would just point out the best way to address them would be to reduce the density of the land use, which is what we're proposing. Now, I can speak specifically on each of them as well, but I just want to point out, we're here to reduce the density, which reduces these impacts. There's a disconnect between what's there now and what's in the land use. We're trying to reduce what's in the land use. So, speaking to each of them directly, and I'll start with traffic and schools because that got some mention, but not as much as the flooding. So, traffic and schools, that is all reviewed during the concurrency process that happens after this process, and this is the county system, and so the county. Let me back up. Our consultants would be providing a traffic study to the county. County reviews that, evaluates what the impacts would be, and then tells us how we need to mitigate for them, and we are obligated to do so. So traffic is worked out after this process. Same thing with schools. So we would coordinate with the school board. They tell us what capacity they have, where they're short, and what we owe if there is a fee required. So that all gets looked at, all those concerns are taken in, and the school board and the county has a process for all of that. As far as the flooding and wetlands, those concerns are valid, and those concerns are the reason why the Water Management District exists and why its criteria have only gotten more and more stringent. And there will be on-site stormwater ponds, and per the law, you cannot discharge more runoff than the existing condition. So whatever water leaves that site right now, that's all that can go in the future. And similarly, you are required by law to accept any water that flows to your site in the existing condition. So you can't block runoff. So there should be no change from a stormwater perspective. And one thing I want to note also, I think was mentioned that Sunrise Farms Road is used as a pretty vital connection during storms, during flooding. I would just note that such a vital connection probably shouldn't be a dirt road, and our project would be paving it. So when you pave the road and you provide proper drainage for that road, you would be improving a vital connection during storms. So I think that supports this application. I mean, we're reducing density, we're reducing these impacts that everyone's concerned about. I know it's hard to see, but that's where the land use is. If there's any more questions, I'll be here. Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant? Commissioner?
I'm not exactly clear on how you're going to mitigate the 40 lots that are affected by the wetlands on this property, and how's that going to impact what is surrounding it, the current wetlands and some of these other properties? You have 40, just on your map, there are 40 homes that I see that have, look like they're designated as wetland areas.
Certainly. So I don't know about the exact number, but
Yeah,
that
I
seems
mean,
reasonable. I'll take your word for
it's
it.
on the map on the back.
Sure.
I counted all of them, and there's 40 of them.
So there's a runoff analysis that is done, and that takes into account what the surface is. I know that we talked about pavement, so impervious has it's a curve number is what they call it. It's 98. That means it's almost all of the water runs off, as you would expect for pavement. So when you size a stormwater pond, you have to do a calculation that calculates how much of that water goes into the soil and how much of it runs off to the pond. So you end up with a much bigger pond, to tell you the truth. Those are all requirements that the Water Management District looks at. The county also has a drainage review as well. And we would be meeting all of those requirements. So certainly there's a lot of driveways, a lot of concrete, a lot of roads. That's runoff. You end up with larger stormwater ponds. But all of that is analyzed and modeled and reflected in the concept plan.
And you wouldn't take into consideration increasing any of the size of the 36-foot lots?
The 34s, but
34, 36.
We can't for two reasons. The costs that go into things like paving Sunrise Farms Road. I didn't mention it before, but there's also a strip of right-of-way that is essentially, not right-of-way, property that is essentially lost along Long Bay for a upcoming shared use path. So we're losing, I think, 25 feet of property for that. So we're squeezed on all sides. Trying to make the lots larger would increase the wetland impacts and make the costs not feasible. So you end up with townhomes.
Okay, any questions?
No, I got my answer.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I'll bring it back to the committee for discussion. Commission? And/or recommendation, motion?
I'll make some comments. You heard a lot of the questions that I asked when they started. I have a lot of concern about the flooding myself because I know what all the regulations are around flooding, but it does seem like every time a development goes in, some of the surrounding areas end up with more water. I have my own theory about why that happens, but I don't know that it's scientifically correct. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact, and that's why I asked about the elevation of the homes. When you pile all that dirt on there, any water in that ground, it's like a sponge. It gets squeezed out somewhere else. And I don't think the state takes that into their calculations. I think they're only concerned with surface water. So I do have a concern about the flooding around it. I am not a fan of mitigation requirements for some of the things that were stated, that I don't know what good it does if you just fill in a wetland and then say, well, there's wetland over here that'll offset it. That is the way things are done in Florida. There is an issue with, as Mr. Garrison will point out, some of the people that spoke have lived here a lot longer than me. I moved to this county in 1983, and when I moved here, there were 76,000 people in the whole county. Today, the last number I heard is I think we're up to 225,000 people in Clay County, and it's going to continue to increase. So the question isn't, are we going to have to build stuff? It's, can we find the best place to build it? And I will also make the comment that right now our state is looking at reducing property tax. Guess what tax the local government functions on? Property tax. So any complaints you got about roads not getting built or paved or maintenance, whatever, they're not gonna have the money to do it. So we have to look for other ways to make that stuff happen. I'm really not sure. I want to hear what some other people have to say, how I feel about this one way or another. It has definitely some positive impacts, like the increase of the conservation land. But at the same time, it is impacting an area that, from what I can see on these maps, is fairly large lots. So it might turn out to be one of those things that's a really good project in the wrong place. We'll see.
Anybody else?
Well, why, I guess Mike's not here tonight, so.
That's right. You the duty.
You know, so y'all, we do this once a month. And as Clay County continues to grow, we hear this same type of thing come forward where, you know, undeveloped land is being requested to be developed and, you know, debate back and forth. My personal, I've lived here since '83. Interesting, Ralph and I moved here the same year. I live out in the hinterlands of Middleburg, love it. And honestly, it wouldn't bother me a bit if we'd never built another house in Clay County. You know, that would be, you know, this fantasy utopia that we never build another house and we all get to watch the owls and all that good stuff. And I love them. I'm not making light of it. But we actually have around 240,000 people in Clay County right now. What'd you say, it was 76 in the 80s?
Yeah.
And you look at a graph and it's like this, it's slow, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just goes straight up. Great school system, great quality of life. Why not live here? The state's booming, so forth and so on. Population is growing. Next, in 2030, it's expected to be 255,000. That's less than 5 years away. 2035, less than 10 years from now, it's expected to be around 300,000 people. Those are just facts. And so I'm of the opinion we need to try to figure out how to put them in here. You have basically two choices. You either do density or you do sprawl. You pack them in, and I personally wouldn't want to live in there. You couldn't give me a house in there. But the people who live in Azalea Ridge, I mean, I don't know how many houses in there. The place is packed. Pick your subdivision. Look at a map. Just come and look at an aerial. They're everywhere. Go drive along the new interstate. Look at all the land that's being cleared. That's for homes and businesses and jobs. So anyway, I'm just of the opinion that we need to try to accommodate it. I'm an unabashed tree hugger. I love trees. I love the environment. So when I see something they're going to increase conservation land, I guess it's like this, you know, there's no good solution to this. But somebody owns some land. Probably most people in this room respect private land rights. It's my land. I get to do what I want to with it as long as the codes allow. If I want to sell it to somebody, why shouldn't I be able to sell it to somebody? You know, why shouldn't I let my family benefit from me sitting on this piece of property for 50 years? And guess what? They're not going to buy it. Somebody's not going to buy it and just sit there and watch the trees grow. So they're going to try to maximize it. And the term is financially feasible. Whether these developments go forward or not, I can't make the lots any bigger because then I have fewer lots and I can't make any money on it. It's a business deal. That's all it is. So I like the idea that they're increasing the conservation land. I too here, and I'm in this industry, I see, and the county probably sees it and gets calls and complaints about it when they develop someplace with runoff. They have to put up silt fence, they have to do certain things to try to retain the water, but sometimes that fails. And so, you know, all you can ask is a developer take it serious. And I don't know about the other development that you mentioned where they had some problems, but their feet should be held to the fire about stuff like that. Nobody should be, you know, the laws are there for a reason. And if the laws are going to be broken, then what's the point of having them? But I do have some faith in it that they're going to do it. If there's something fails, you know, a silt fence collapses or whatever, then go put it back up and push the dirt back and do what you have to do. So I will support it. You know, again, it's a tough road. I mean, nobody wants any more homes here. Too bad. Guess what? Between now and about 10 years from now, you're going to have another 50,000 of them. So, you know, it's just the reality of the situation. So I'm done rambling. Say the same thing every meeting.
Any other comments? Commissioner Bridger?
This application makes me think about the saying that the perfect is the enemy of the good. If the county commission decides to deny this application, what we could end up with, and most likely will end up with, if profit motivation controls, is something that is not as good and not as beneficial as this is. And that's my worry. Would it be responsible for us to recommend denial of this when it already could be so much more of what the community doesn't want? And that's where I'm coming from. That's what's going through my mind. That's a responsibility that I feel and I hear.
Anyone else?
I just have a question, Mary. I tend to agree with you. My question is, what is the alternative? If you didn't want this to happen at all, wouldn't the Brannon Field master plan have to be changed? Because as it exists right now, somebody can come in and put up the maximum amount. And that right there means that for all the residents, I look at this and I think of the impact and I agree with you. But unless you get that changed, then someone can come in and do exactly what you're talking about, unless I'm incorrect. Is that right, Dottie? Thank you.
And add that any change to that, unless it's an administrative error, has to come from the property owner, right? If they wanted to come in and try to, as this gentleman is doing. So it's important, it's important to realize that the person who owns that property is the one who would have to ask to have it changed to some other zoning that would lower the density that currently exists today. So it's hard to believe that anybody's looking to sell their property would come and make that request. So
I have one more comment, and that is that for all the concerns that have been raised tonight, if I put on the hat that you're wearing, I would be talking to the county about flooding, infrastructure, and everything else, because this commission, it's not in their purview. But certainly the county engineers and Public Works and everyone else that's responsible for that, they're the ones that should be hearing your concerns for this and how to address it.
Okay, my feelings on this whole thing is this property is going to be developed. It's not a question, is it going to be developed? The question is when. And it's kind of like, you know, shooting dice. You got to go for your best deal. And if the landowner is willing to reduce the density down to 126 homes instead of 360 some odd, that sounds like a pretty fair deal. The other thing too is I've lived here since the early 80s. I guess I'm the senior on this commission, but Black Creek's been flooding from the day I set foot on Fleming Island. And every year, the only time it didn't flood was when we had a drought. I remember those days when everybody's yards were drying up like firewood, but it's just something that we have to deal with, I think. But the bottom line is, if this gentleman does not develop it, then what's his alternative? He's got money invested in it. He's going to invest more money in it. His alternative is, okay, I'll sell it to somebody else. Well, it's a swinging door. It'll come back in here again, but Lord only knows what it'll come back as. So that's pretty much where I am on the thing.
Mr. Chair, I think it's important to add that our staff talked about what the potential development is under the current zoning that exists today. If somebody wants to develop under the current zoning that exists today, they don't go through this process. They go to the building department and there's some other few things, but basically they go to the building department and pull building permits. They're entitled to build that without any change to the zoning. And that's often one of the things we struggle with, is we may not want to see it, but as Chairman said, sometimes you have to decide if this is the best option that you're going to see.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the,
We only need one vote on this.
only one.
Yeah, comp plan change.
So I will move that the comprehensive plan comp change amendment 26-0006, and per the staff's recommendation of approval.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
So we got 3-2-3.
3-3.
No recommendation.
No recommendation.
Okay. When does this go to the board? 23rd. All right. The recommendation from the Planning Commission is there's no recommendation. So it goes to the Board of County Commissioners, who has the final say-so anyway, and that'll be on the 23rd of June, sometime after 5 o'clock. So I'd recommend you attend that meeting and go from there. Thank you very much. If you choose to leave, please do so quietly so we can move on to our agenda. We go to public hearing to consider comp plan 26007. Do we need to take a break? Mary bailed on us a minute.
Okay, take a break. Take a break.
5-minute break.
Why don't you just take
All right.
a couple of minutes?
Let's take a couple minutes.
I think the rest are usually gonna be pretty.
Yeah. Where are you at?
Yeah. I don't,
We appreciate all the work.
I was gonna say, I can't remember the last time we took a time.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the opportunity.
Yeah, stretch while you can.
Accidentally put her there, but she wanted to.
So she just,
So
no,
she's not,
wait,
sorry.
okay,
Just to keep it with us.
right.
Thank you.
No, not for anything. No, I shut that off.
Might need to do that louder, sir.
No, it doesn't.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is a small-scale plan, future land use amendment along with 2 rezoning applications. The public hearing for these items before the Board of County Commissioners will be June 23rd. The applicant for this is David Winter, Winter Investments. The location of the property is College Drive, north of Brickyard Road, the east side of College Drive. It is in the Oak Leaf Brandon Ridge Planning District. It is Commissioner Scarmolo's district, District 1. And there are 3 actions involved with this. The first is Comp 26-7, which is a change of a ½ acre from commercial to UC10. The second is PUD 26-3, which is the amendment to the PCD to remove 0.5 acres. The third is Zone 2610, which is changing that 0.5 acres to AR. And there might be some need to switch around the order of these things, but those are the 3 actions involved in this item. So the map on the left is the site location showing on College Drive. The map on the right is showing the full PCD, which is the full parcel that's being discussed today. It was rezoned to this, I think, back in '24. And because it's a little bit complicated, I have this graphic to help you understand. So that full hatched area is the red boundary. That is the full PCD, the 1.44 acres that was rezoned back in '24.
The property owner would like to reduce the size of that PCD by 1/2 acre and create a residential lot. So the PCD would be reduced to the side on the left, which is the blue side, and the parcel on the right would be cut out and turned into a residential parcel. The map on the left is the notification map. Quite a few people notified over the 350-foot buffer. There are the 3 signs that were posted for the 3 actions. And we'll look at the existing zoning first. So the map on the left is the existing PCD again. It's that full 1.44 acres. And the map on the right is the reduced version, which would be the 0.9 acres. This is the site plan that's been proposed. It's no longer the 2 buildings. It's now just going to be 1 building, this 3,500 square feet. And this, the written narrative removes the retail and the potential museum use that was originally proposed for this site. So the development would be limited to this 1 3,500 square foot building for a contractor or professional business office building. The second action is a comp plan amendment. This is, right now, the current PCD is all COM land use, commercial land use. And in order to make the parcel to the right residential, it would need to be revised to, amended to Urban Core 10, which is consistent with what's surrounding it in the brown. And then the last action is the rezoning of that residential parcel from the PCD to the AR zoning district, which, as you see, the green is the surrounding district. Staff has reviewed all of these items and found that the comprehensive plan amendment meets the requirements, and the rezoning items as well meet the standards for rezoning. The Oakleaf Brandon Ridge CAC did not have a quorum at their meeting in May, so there was no hearing of this item. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Ms. Carson, yeah, can you go back to the proposed site plan again? That one.
So there's a building on the right,
Right.
and the bottom is
I
a
just wanted
pond.
to see, because it doesn't show on here. He's going to be required to do a buffer between this and the residential lot,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there would be a 20-foot buffer
It's a
required.
20-foot buffer.
Yes.
I don't see it on there, at least from this distance, so is
Yep.
there 20 feet there for a buffer?
It looks like there's probably 30, 20 to
Okay.
30.
All right, I just want to, we'll mention it again.
It's a little
Okay.
grainy, I can't quite
Yeah,
see
I
it.
can't quite read the number either, so, all right.
Applicant.
I'm David Winter. I live at 1633 Middleburg, Suite 504. It's really my office. That's where all my mail goes. I first decided to, when I purchased this land, to put 2 buildings, commercial buildings on it. So I had to get it rezoned and got shot down because I was rezoning it as BB2, I think it was, and we had to go to PCD. So once I got it to PCD, I went off the cost. The reason why I'm changing this is because of the cost. I was going off the development of the land at $250,000 an acre for the site work. Well, that didn't happen. I was using bad, I guess, old numbers. I got 2 bids. One was 800,000 and one was $1 million. Wow. So I just said, okay, I just sat on it for a while and had a rethink. So what I'm trying to do, right next to that lot, the lot to the east, there's houses there. So I'm just figured, okay, let me build a residential house there and then reduce the size of my commercial property, which would reduce the cost of the civil work, underground work. And that's why I'm coming up here to propose. I just thought 800,000 was a kick in the pants.
Question.
And
any
sir, to
questions for-
answer your
Yeah.
question, it is a 30-foot buffer there.
So you're aware that you're gonna need the buffer there?
That's from my dogs. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding, but I'm gonna bring my dogs to work and that's one of the reasons. But it's a 20-foot buffer and I made it 30-foot.
Any questions to the applicant?
I have one. Are you building the home for you to live in or for sale?
For sale.
For sale, okay.
Just make
My-
sure that is a half acre, because that's what you gotta have under that.
Yes, sir. I had it more than a half acre and I was told that you can't make it more than a half acre, so I had to redo the site
You don't want
plan.
it less, so.
Yeah, it's right at a half acre. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Done.
no other questions?
On this.
I'll open the public hearing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have no cards on this. Does anybody wish to speak on this agenda item?
What did she say?
Let's do it.
We got one vote. All right, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I'll tell you, I know this, I was here when we did it before, I know why it was done. It all makes sense, I'm more than happy to, support this change. I just need to know what order we need to do it in.
Well, we need 3 votes on this, right?
I think you're gonna have to do the comp plan first.
We'll do the comp, then the PUD, then the zone.
Yeah, probably. Mhm.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion for the comp plan 260007.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the staff report on the comp plan.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll move the PUD, the re-PUD staff report.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to move to approve PUD 260003 and second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, zoning?
I'll move for the zoning, 260010.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
The only thing I would ask of the applicant is, make the building pretty. Because College Drive could certainly use some, you got the girls'
up.
place next that looks pretty good, and Max Air looks pretty good, so.
Well, that's in the middle of the,
Okay.
that's in the middle of the College Drive initiative, isn't it?
It is, but
Right.
he already has that property.
Okay,
Good luck with it.
all right, thank you, sir.
Make it look pretty.
All right, number 4.
All right, this is PUD 260004. The public hearing for this before the Board of County Commissioners will be next Tuesday, June 9th. This one will be familiar to you. You saw a similar version of this back in April. The applicant is First Coast Energy. The agent for the property is Jason Gabriel, who is here tonight. The location of the property is 240 Nightbox Road, and it's located at the corner of Nightbox Road and 220. It's located within the Oakleaf-Brandon Ridge Planning District, which is Commissioner 5 district for Commissioner Burke. And zoning 2604 requested BB2 back in April and was presented in April and received a 3-2 vote to recommend approval by this board. At the board meeting, after a lot of discussion about the site plan on how to memorialize some added features, it was decided that the applicant would bring the item back as a PUD. So PUD, file number PUD 2604, seeks to rezone approximately 8.36 acres from AR to PCD. And again, this was rezoned and comp plan amendment back in 2003. And the proposed use, again, would be the Daly's convenience store with a gas station, pumps, car wash, and the western portion of the property will remain open space proposed pond area for now. The map on the left is the parcel map, the location of it. The map on the right shows the hatch is the site. The map on the left is the existing zoning, which is AR, and the right shows that it would be going to PCD. The parcel notification is on the left, and there's a sign. The signs were amended to have the correct date. This is the site plan that, similar to what was brought before the board. What was discussed at the board was that an added feature that the applicant is presenting, which is to the left of the car wash and extending to the northern part of the property and then extending all the way to the east, is an 8-foot wall.
I get a question if we could on that real quick.
Okay.
On that map, that to the left, I can't quite read, does that say that it's gonna be left as open space?
Proposed pond area.
Pond, okay.
So the written narrative provides a great detail on the commercial uses that would be permitted. This was originally coming in for BB2, and BB2 actually tracks back to BBA, which is a lesser intense zoning district. And so its first use is the convenience store and associated uses with that. The second is tracking back to that BA zoning district, which is neighborhood businesses. Retail sales, motor fuel sales, car wash facilities, lottery ticket sales. So basic sales, items that you would expect with the convenience store. Outdoor customer seating, patio with no amplified music outdoors. The narrative also provides clarity on the prohibited uses. No adult entertainment, no mini warehouses, land clearing debris is not permitted, motor vehicle sales not permitted, etc. PCD is providing standards because there was discussion at this board and as well as the board floor about conservative lighting. And so the standards that have been written into the narrative include a 1/2-foot candle at the property line, full cutoff fixture to direct lighting downward. And so that's similar standard to what you find in Lake Asbury and Brandonfield. And again, the 8-foot masonry wall to be located along the northern edge of the property. All other county requirements would be met for the rest of the buffers. No material garbage containers or refuse to be within 30 feet. The site plan shows it beyond 30 feet from the northern property line. And any substantive revision to the PCD would require coming back before this board and the Board of County Commissioners. So if they decided to change that open space pond area to the far west, that would have to come back for consideration. So with that, staff finds that the criteria for the rezoning have been met and recommend approval of PUD 2604. Last night, June 1st, the Oak Leaf Brandon Ridge CAC voted 6-0 to recommend approval of this application. They further offered the recommendation that the proposed wall includes some sound buffering mechanism, for example, like filling the voids in the blocks. And the chair from, he's still here, from the meeting last night is here if you have any questions. And the applicant is here.
All right, any questions of staff? Okay, yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Jason Gabriel with Burr Foreman. We're here on behalf of the applicant, the owner of the property, Daly's. And I'm here with Peter Ma, who's the head engineer at ETM, who designed this. And obviously, we're here for any questions. I think your staff did a great job giving a thorough review. This is deja vu a bit. We were here a couple months ago, beginning of April, if you recall. And actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 3-2 vote, that I don't mean to speak for the ones who voted against it at the time, but my understanding of what the consternation was kind of the same as what made us go back and do this PCD, which was how do we like the stuff you're putting in here, the above and beyond code stuff you're putting, and actually some other things transpired, which I'll touch on in a moment, where we've even added that to the plan. But how do we memorialize it? And it became clear then, okay, we'll do a PCD. That's how you memorialize it. And so that's what we've done. So this was recommended for approval from the last planning and zoning, the last CAC, and then last night's CAC. And here we're back before you in an effort to hopefully take this to the commission next Tuesday. So with that being said, so what we have now is essentially the best, but I'd submit even more robust and stronger plan that's before you. You now have a PCD written description that goes through the uses, limits them, has prohibited uses, has all the various performance standard features that we've agreed to. And that also includes now in a revised site plan, which was touched on, which was very important to the neighbors to the north, a buffer now that's 25% thicker and larger than what was previously agreed to. So there was a 20-foot minimum before, now there's a 25-foot wide all along the northern boundary of the property, vegetative buffer. We are also putting within that, what was mentioned, an 8-foot masonry wall, about 33% bigger and more robust than a typical one. Not opaque, not fencing, but masonry, 8 feet within that buffer. So aesthetically, noise-wise, all of the above, which will be basically from the car wash all the way east to almost Nightbox, you know, all along the northern part of the property. That's all memorialized. There's also other features in there. As was mentioned, we also now depict the whole westerly part of the property as either pond or open space. That's what it is. Essentially over 5 acres. This is an 8.3 acre property, but if you look at the site plan, it's an 8,200 square foot convenience store, basically. The commercial retail is very limited when you take it, especially when you take it into account with the ratio of what's going vertical versus the rest of the 8 acres. And of course, you have the car wash and the gas station, but this is a very limited neighborhood use. I'd submit even less intense than, and way less intense than even the BB2, which was an intermediate type commercial use zoning from before. And like I said, and I'm just approximating here, but less than 3 acres being utilized on the easterly part near Nightbox for the actual commercial uses, the remaining 5+ acres, all passive, pond, open space use. And we cannot develop it unless we come back before you with another rezoning on that part of the property, because the site plan now becomes memorialized as well. And just as a quick backdrop, and as was mentioned, so the comp plan is commercial. So the county has already made the determination policy-wise, this is commercial. That's what's going to go here. So that's not even being debated. What's being debated is how do we bring the zoning, which right now is not in conformity to it, it's AR. So we need to bring it into conformity with the overriding commercial land use. And I would also bring to your attention that in 2005, there was a PUD zoning that allowed for 60,000 square feet of commercial institutional office uses. 60,000. We're proposing 8,223. And if that's not enough, 55 lots for residential. None of that being, proposed here. And actually that PUD was alive and well, but you guys have something in your code that makes it expire if it's never developed. So those rights expired and now it's reverted to AR. So, but with all that being said, we're very appreciative of your time, your consideration. I think there was a lot of good input that came at the county commission meeting, and we just want to be good neighbors, and we're just memorializing this in a PCD, and we'd respectfully request your recommendation of approval, and we're obviously here for any questions you may have.
I just have one.
Go ahead.
My question is, you mentioned the masonry wall not being opaque. Could you kind of?
It's solid.
Oh.
Not opaque, it's solid wall.
I meant it's more than opaque.
It's okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay, because when you said
Maybe it didn't
it's a
make
masonry
sense.
wall, it's not opaque.
Oh,
That
no,
kind
no,
of
no,
confused
no,
me
no.
for a second.
Quite the opposite, actually.
Quite the opposite,
Way
okay.
more robust than an opaque. I was trying to make that point. Sorry, I didn't make that
Thank
clear.
you.
Good point, though.
Anybody else? Question I've got, and you mentioned it, you'd have 2 proposed pond sites. Now, you're not,
Right. So just to be clear, so the pond itself, the proposed pond is sort of in the middle. You see that? That's what's proposed. We put pond area. It's low wetlands type property. It's not all wetlands. It's just low residing property. There's no intention to put a pond there. If we need to clarify that, I suppose we could. Do you want to speak to that, Peter? Sure. We're talking about the westerly part, I believe, right?
Well, there's the one in the middle, the pond that's on the east side, but west of the C-store, but then you have the other proposed, which is on the west end. But you're not gonna do anything to that, it's just gonna stay natural?
No, there's potential. So this is Peter Ma, England, Thames and Miller. So the site along the corner of Nightbox and 220 is in a flood zone. So we're gonna fill in that area. And in order for us to meet all the regulation, we're gonna have to replace that fill volume someplace else. And the western open space pond areas, that's where we're gonna propose to do that. We don't know the exact size right now or the depth until we get the full engineering. So we won't know that until later, but we wanted to reserve that area to put that what they call a compensatory storage area.
Okay.
But to be clear, it would remain passive, not commercial, not developed in any way.
Okay.
It'd be open space, and if we ever wanted to develop it, we'd have to come back for a rezoning.
Thank you. Okay, I have several cards here, so I'll open the public hearing.
CAC guy's here.
Yeah, I got him. Helena Cormier?
Hello, thank you. My name is Helena Cormier, address on file. I did have a couple questions, and some of the things that he had just spoke about did help kind of resolve that one. I did not understand the proposed area and that open space area. I knew from talking with staff that if they did want to change that to any commercial development or anything else, it would have to come back through because of the PCD is very detailed. On the written statement, I went to the DRC meeting, and at that DRC meeting, they weren't sure if the one that was emailed was the correct one. And so I still don't know if the one that I've seen is the current one that y'all have. I know mine still always said PUD. I'm not sure if y'all's actually say PCD. If it is, then we may be looking at two different things, which doesn't help what we see and know. But on the one that I was seeing, still had the BB2 zoning being referenced over and over again on some of those usages just reverted back to that. And that was kind of from my take of watching the county commissioners meeting, was that blanket BB2 zoning was still made a question. And so having the PUD or the PCD was going to define it some more, but yet in the written statement, it's still leaving that open. So I was just looking for some clarity, hoping that that would be defined more on specific on what wasn't going to be there or what was. One of the other things that I had noticed in the written statement was that now because of probably what they went through before and their plan expiring, now they have a no expiration on this one. And I don't know if that's standard or if it's, or if there's a time frame that needs to be put in there. I would assume that y'all in your judgment would have a good recommendation if it's needed or not. And I think that was pretty much most of my questions for now. And I hope that there will be a little bit more clarification moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I
Stephen?
speak to that? So
In blue?
the written narrative that is on the agenda is the current.
I'm sorry?
The written narrative that is on the agenda for this meeting is
Yeah.
the current.
That question of expiration, to just touch on that quickly, please.
I'd have to go back and look at the PUD, but I believe there is a timing that they're supposed to submit their final development plan, and then they're
Okay.
supposed to break ground and do some construction. I can't tell
So
you
that-
the
that-
numbers
that-
offhand, because
No, that's fine, but that applies to all, there is an expiration date on all
There is.
PUD/PCD.
And back in the day, the PUD language said it automatically reverted, like it was something that was done administratively in our office.
Uh-huh.
That's not technically kosher. It actually has to be reverted back through a public process. So at some point, it was reverted long before I got back,
Okay.
to the county.
Thank you.
But it's all dependent upon the applicant to pull the trigger on any of that stuff, correct?
Right, so if a PUD were basically to expire, it would have to be re-upped with a new development plan. So that's typically the process that it would be changed.
Okay. CAC President.
Yes, sir. I was only just filling out that comment card if, in case there was a question from the CAC. Our committee was unanimous on this, recommend approval. There was just one stipulation that of the contents of the masonry wall was of some sort of soundproof material. That's all it was. I've heard previously from previous meetings of this about concerns from the neighbors about sound and stuff like that. But that's I think that satisfies that. And I was going to offer myself for any questions from regarding the CAC.
All right.
No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. David, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, Huff? Is David still here? Okay, well, he had 2 and 4 on here, so it's, okay, Denise Robertson.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Denise Robertson. I reside at 3738 Bedford Drive in Middleburg, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Boxwood community as their HOA president regarding this PUD 26004 at 240 Nightbox Road and 220. First, I'd like to thank the Clay County Board of Commissioners, the First Coast Energy LLP, and Mr. Gabriel, who represents them, for listening to the neighborhood concerns that we addressed at the last meetings and submitting this application now as a PUD, which I understand now is a PCD, instead of the original proposed BB2 rezoning. We also appreciate the modifications that were made to the site plan to better address the adjacent residential concerns that we had. While we recognize these improvements and we respectfully request some clarification, Mr. Gabriel did talk about the open space proposed pond, which was one area that we were really concerned about. We didn't understand what that meant. So I do appreciate him giving us a little bit of clarification on that. But we also have some clarification that we would like to have. There's several items that are listed on like page 4 in the PUD documentation that specifically uses language referencing using consistent with the BB2. And we thought that the whole idea was to get rid of any language about the BB2. There's some things that talks about consistent with BB2 stormwater and drainage infrastructure, the phrase reasonably accessory uses, which appears broad and kind of open to interpretation. We also just talked about having this have a time limitation on it. And here, I'm going to read this. It says, the time limitation set forth in section 3-3 shall not apply to this specific PUD zoning district. Accordingly, this PUD shall not have any time limitation or expiration of or to the uses or rights set forth therein. So we're a little confused about, it's like some language differences there. But our goal is not to oppose this development, but to just ensure transparency moving forward, compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood, and just clear limitations on future land use of this area. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robertson. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back if the applicant wishes to share anything else with us.
Just very briefly, for whatever it's worth, if it helps, we were very specific in the PCD written description to put the primary permitted uses. We had to be somewhat generalize on the commercial stuff, but there is nothing in here about all BBT uses. And in fact, we have a specific delineation of primary permitted uses, associated commercial uses, and actually prohibited uses. So I believe we're very specific about that. To the extent we may refer at times in there to BB2, it's only to the extent that there's a gap or it was the most appropriate intermediate type of zoning district for like things that we may not have covered, although we were pretty comprehensive in what we covered here, but it's not an open-ended use list for that. As for the expiration, yes, we did put that provision in there, and actually, I'd like to maybe correct it for the record, because I think we cited the PUD time limitation. Really, it's the PCD one. I had cited, I think, 3-33F. It's really 3-31H. But what you have in your code, it's quirky, I believe, and I believe possibly illegal, but we can have that discussion later. Not illegal like in a criminal sense, but just illegal in the sense that zoning rights evaporate after 4 years, and we're asking that that be waived. I've never seen that before in any other jurisdiction, and I think as mentioned, there needs to be a due process for if you're going to change the zoning, and it can't just happen by operation of an administrative decision or that it just disappears. But so yes, we do have that in there, and it's simple. All that is just simply we don't want our rights to go away if this were approved. That's all. But it doesn't do anything in this. It doesn't expand anything. It doesn't. It's just keeping it, like if we were to do a conventional rezoning, let's say we continued with the BB2 and that was rezoned to BB2, it's always BB2 until we come back or y'all do something different. And that's all we're asking, is just to be on an equal playing field to that degree. But with that being said, I just want to offer those clarifications, and we're still available for any questions. We appreciate it.
Okay, any questions of the applicant?
And I don't know if it's for the applicant or the staff, but on page 3, which is, I appreciate the detail of the plan, and I'm sorry I missed your name when you came up, but awesome. You did a great job analyzing it and presenting your concerns. I thought that was really well done. But there's a line in here, it's on page 3, it says, where this written description is silent, the standards of the BB2 district and all other applicable provisions of the Clay County LDC shall govern. I mean, is that necessary?
Yeah.
That is or is not?
I think it is, because
think it is.
what it's saying is if there's something not specified, yes or no, it falls back to BB2. I've seen that
So
language
just in
before.
my 8 o'clock cloudy mind here, I mean,
That's
why is it necessary? What's the point of it?
So often your PUD is writing a new you're writing your own zoning district, basically.
Right.
And he's modeling it after the BB2, which is what he had previously applied for. So if there's something that's not addressed in the written statement, he's wanting it to go back to the BB2.
Like buffer
There's
or
some
something? to that
standard,
effect?
Yeah. It's just kind of begs the question, if you do such a detailed PCD, then why the need to refer back to, if I didn't cover that, then it's BB2, which, that means it's BB2.
May I answer?
That's what he's
Please
saying.
do, please do.
Through the chair. I'm happy to strike it because it is for your benefit. Because what you're concerned about with BB2 is like the uses, for example.
Right.
This is a very comprehensive PCD for sure.
Yes, it is.
And I don't think we've missed anything, but I don't know if there's some weird little performance standard that we hadn't seen that, and all we're saying is in the extent of silence, we revert to BB2. It may be that, I defer to your staff. I'm trying to remember the one that's a little less intense than BB2. Maybe is it BB1?
The BA.
Or the BA. I mean, if that makes it.
So here's my,
I mean, we're not trying to pull a fast one.
I appreciate that. I know you're not.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to imply that. But it seems like, okay, we did this detailed PCD. Anything I didn't cover goes back to BB2. So why didn't we just do BB2 to start with? Which I know why we didn't, but doesn't that seem like we went to all this trouble to do a PCD?
And Beth can
Yeah,
tell
so
me.
please, maybe I'm
They're
way
doing
out
a
left field.
retention
I
pond.
certainly
They're
could
doing a
be.
retention pond.
Pardon me?
A retention pond, for
Right.
example.
Right.
I doubt the depth of that pond is specified in the PCD. So it falls back to what the pond depths would be in other parts of the code.
Which is not going to be in BB2.
But that's the idea.
That's an engineering plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. I'm really not. It just seemed, the lady brought it up. I would have never questioned it. But it's a legitimate question, so thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Here, a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move item number 4. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Item number 5. Competency Plan Text Amendment. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
This last item is a text amendment to the 2045 Comprehensive Plan. The public hearing for this item will also be next Tuesday at the board. This is a staff-initiated amendment to create the Brandonfield Institutional Land Use, BF-INST, description to support the currently mapped parcels. Right now, we have 3 parcels that are currently mapped. The one on the left is the State Trooper site at County Road 220, basically by Middleburg High School. The one in the middle is CCUA site. They have property there at Old Jennings and Tynes, and the one on the right is their office building on Old Jennings with the fountain. So these 3 were, designated as BF institutional back, I would assume, when the amendment was made for Brandonfield, but there was never any description added to the future land use categories in the Brandonfield district. So that's the purpose of this change. To do this change, we also have to amend this policy, policy 1.4.1, to add the BF institutional to the list of land uses. And then this policy 1.4.11 is the new policy which establishes the BF institutional as a land use category characterized by public and semi-public communities serving infrastructure and facilities. It includes land and buildings dedicated to public, semi-public, or nonprofit purposes that serve community, social, educational, health, cultural, or religious needs. BF institutional designation does not include commercial or industrial uses, except in such cases where commercial uses are clearly subordinate to and incidental to the public uses. And then we've also added a maximum floor area ratio for development within this category at 50%.
Okay.
That is our proposed amendment. Do you have any questions?
Question, staff?
Can you go back to the pictures of the parcels for a second? The one in the middle, that's on Old Jennings Road, is that where those big tanks are? I think they've got like a water treatment there or something. There's a
Possibly,
parcel right there at Tynes and Old Jennings with a bunch of large tanks. I always thought that was a water treatment of some type or water plant.
Offhand, I'm not sure. I don't go in that area, but that's what it's attributed to their ownership.
Any other questions? I have one. What, was this just an oversight, or did we have some qualifying event that threw this up in the air?
Well, we have, yes, so this is a deficiency in our code, obviously, and we do have a church that is wanting to locate in Brandonfield, and they can't go anywhere but a activity center or community center. And so this would allow for churches to go different locations.
All right.
Hang on, Pete, hang on.
Yes.
Beth, what commercial use you referred to in the second or third slide?
So the language that's been added into this is clearly subordinate to, so if you had maybe an educational facility that maybe had a coffee shop or something that's, part of the school just to serve the school, sometime healthcare, sometime hospitals will have a Starbucks or something, so it's not the primary use of the property, it's just incidental.
Yeah, but it's no wider than that then, correct? I mean,
It's just a minor use to serve that,
does there need to be some language in there that specifically states anything like that?
Well, by this saying that it's clearly subordinate to and incidental to the public uses,
Then, okay.
we thought that was okay. If you want to see something different, we can entertain that.
I think it's just like when you have an office building,
Yeah.
sometimes they got a little small,
Yeah,
sandwich
little-
shop
yep.
on the first floor, same idea.
Well, you know, we get these things that come forth that are, they like to stretch the limits. So that's kind of why I asked that.
All right, I'm open the public hearing. Don't have any cards. Does anybody wish to speak on this? Why?
Helena Cormier again. I just want to say thank you for, the staff recognizing that there was an area that needed to be tightened up. And we see that every now and then in situations, but that's the reason why when some of these items are coming to us on the CAC or coming to y'all as a planning and zoning, not rushing is so important. And so when things are being rushed through, some of these things can be accidentally missed. And we don't want to accidentally miss something. And so when we do, we have to be reactive. And so anytime that we can be proactive, when we slow down, it helps us and it helps everybody do their job efficiently. And so thank you for staff for doing what they need to and everybody working together so that it can accommodate the needs that are there. But it's a reminder to us that sometimes when the developers or different people are trying to push something and rush something, it hurts us in the long run. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Nobody else? I'll close the public hearing, bring it back for discussion, motion.
I'm gonna move the report, but I'd like to make a comment after that.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Discussion.
So, go back one slide, Beth,
Oh,
if you would. Okay, so I do have a little concern about land and buildings dedicated to public, semi-public, nonprofit purposes that serve the community, social education, health, and that. So, I would just remind everybody that what this is doing is opening up virtually every parcel in Brandon Field to a church or a hospital or something else that we were trying to keep into activity centers. And is that really, because I think we're going to, as Ms. Carson said, there's a church out there that's already looking to do this. There's going to be more. There's going to be anybody that falls in that list wanting to do the same thing because the land is going to be cheaper outside the activity centers. So.
That had a little to do with my question about commercial use.
It did. Well, the commercial uses are subordinate and incidental to the public use. That's fine. I'm just pointing out that I think this is opening up a door for other entities. I mean, I think of a lot of things that could be called educational, health, cultural, community, social, that kind of thing, that Brandon Field was designed to drive to the activity centers that are going to end up elsewhere. I'm just saying, I'm bringing it up because I got a feeling we're going to see something.
Well,
Maybe we should address that now.
since you unscrewed that lid, do we need to take some action? Is that a valid concern or is it?
So can I offer, there's one more step to this, which is not now. This has to be transmitted to the state because this is a text amendment. There will be a land development code section that will be corresponding with this, that will be coming back to you. I have to look at the timing right now. I don't remember the timing, but it will be coming back in probably next month. And that will have stipulations on size of perhaps a church and where it can be located, things like that. If you look at our code, there's limitations on where a very small little community church could go. They really can't. Our code is limited to 40,000 square foot churches, and it directs them exclusively to collector roads. You couldn't have a little neighborhood church unless, the code was adjusted, So you'll see land development code coming back to relate to this.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Okay, we'll call a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, I got a few quick bullets before we get into the last public comment. Reminding everybody, file your financial, whatever form, Form
Got the
1.
email.
Got to be done by July the 1st, and they'll fine you for that. And I got this email, and Commissioner Puckhaber already referred to it, but I don't know if everybody got it or what, but it's kind of alarming, to be honest about it. It talks about the proposed tax impacts or lack of tax impacts, and it gives a list of some things that are going to be hurt by this. And the last thing I got is we won't meet before the big birthday celebration, so don't burn your fingers or blow anything up that you don't want blown up for 250th. And with that, I'm going to open the last public comment period, and I see nobody coming forward or rushing to the podium, so I will close that. Any final words from anybody? Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Happy 4th of July.
Same to you.